If you're standing up, you're going to want to take a seat because I've got a doozy for you today. Have you ever thought to yourself, man, it'd be great if anime was real. Our world is so boring. And I can even sympathize with that a bit. I think it'd be great to like scream really loud and get huge muscles and grow taller. But then you need to take a step back and read a headline like this and realize that we're already living in an anime. And it's a goddamn shonen shithole. There's a Destiny YouTuber who's currently being sued by Bungie for $7.6 million. And just like the Celtics in the NBA Finals, he will absolutely lose. He doesn't stand a chance. He'd have better luck finding $7.6 million in the gutter than winning this lawsuit against Bungie. This guy took the plot of Death Note and applied it to YouTube. He basically became a Diet Kira, and as a result, it cost him his entire life here with this lawsuit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I've loosely followed this story since it broke a couple months ago, and my god, there's so many twists and turns in here, it makes Game of Thrones look tame. It is so unbelievably goofy. And you all know how much I love like the goofy and the wacky, and my god, I'm ashamed to say it, but even the silly too. And this story is absolutely among the cream of the crop in that ballpark. So, let me break all of it down for you. A couple months ago, Destiny content creators had their judgment day. Rapture had occurred. In total, 96 videos just vanished from a multitude of Destiny content creators seemingly out of nowhere and for no reason. The videos were totally innocent. There was nothing wrong with them, but they had all been struck down by a company called CSC, which is a legitimate copyright management firm that represents Bungie. So, content creators rightfully were very upset with Bungie, thinking that they'd betrayed the community. Bungie had decided to go to war against the creators, and it was this big bloodbath online for a while of people hating Bungie for what they did. But it turns out Bungie was also a victim. Their own videos got copyright struck and taken down by the same CSC agency. So what went wrong? Did an employee go rogue? Just have a Winter Soldier moment and just go full nuclear and take all Destiny content down as they saw fit? Well, as it turns out, there was a bad actor impersonating CSC Global. And they were the puppet master behind the scenes taking down all of these videos. So it naturally became the question of who is doing it and why? Because Bungie also put out a statement saying they're affected and they're investigating because this is not okay. Bungie wouldn't do this, it's not them. They were as confused as the rest of the community. But they weren't just confused, they were furious. They went fucking berserk. They weren't just mad at this douchebag that was copyright striking everyone with these fraudulent takedown requests. They were mad at YouTube. They took YouTube to court in order to get Google to finally revealed the identity of the person behind this because YouTube was putting up a big stink about it. They even had the same problems as normal YouTubers, saying Bungie went through customer service and didn't get the issue solved for days. They even said that YouTube support didn't even respond to them in a timely fashion, if at all. Reading this when it was happening was shocking because even a billion-dollar company like Bungie has to go through the same channels as the fucking goobers like me and all other YouTubers do. And it sucks. It's trash. Bungie got a taste of what it's like to be a normal YouTuber for a little bit. You get no answers, you get no response, and you get no solutions when you go up to like the top of the food chain of YouTube. They would have had better luck just doing what all the rest of us do and start whining on Twitter about it and crying for YouTube's attention, because it seems like the only team there that can actually solve things is the Team YouTube Twitter account. So instead of like going through the court as well as the support channels, Bungie should have just went right to Twitter with a twitlonger or some shit and a trending hashtag, because it seems like it's all they'll respond to. They won't even respond to a billion-dollar company through their official channels. What a joke. What chance do any normal YouTubers have if Bungie, of all companies, can't get them to talk to them? It's laughable. They slammed YouTube's absolutely archaic and dog shit system here with a fully detailed outline of how it happened and how weak YouTube's system is, and then finished it off by leaving YouTube a 1-star Yelp review on their support process, saying that Bungie was stranded in a circular loop. When I read that circular loop line, it was like this eureka moment. A light bulb flicked on in my head, and I knew exactly what happened here. Bungie, being as naive as they were about YouTube, thinking that good systems were in place, went on their YouTube channel and went to the partner creator support line, which lets you talk to what's supposed to be support agents at YouTube. But they're basically just bots. I don't think that there's anyone using that with a pulse. And what happens when you try and talk to people through that is they just keep linking you frequently asked questions, or they just keep asking you the same question you've answered a million times, and you just go in a circle forever. Like Ouroboros constantly eating its own tail. Nothing gets solved when you contact that line. It's only frequently asked questions or publicly accessible YouTube blog posts about what might be adjacent to your issue, or repeated questions ad nauseum forever. I knew exactly what happened once I read Circular Loop. So Bungie couldn't even get in contact with YouTube directly initially, it seems. They went to that boilerplate, terrible service of the support line. But it looks like they did finally get it solved because they got the person's identity. And the story behind this is so stupid, it's crazy. There was a disgruntled Destiny YouTuber named Lord Nazo, or Nick. And Nick's YouTube channel focused on directly ripping music from Destiny's Taken King and Witch Queen official soundtracks and uploading them to his personal YouTube channel. And despite repeated takedown notices, Nick decided to leave the music up, which eventually resulted in him losing the account. And he got mad. Nick got very upset at this. This happened months prior to him impersonating CSC Global. So something snapped in Nick here, and he wanted revenge. And then he thought back to the time he watched Death Note, and he's like, maybe I could do that. So he impersonated a CSC Global employee and started filing takedown requests, fraudulent takedown requests, on pretty much anyone who made Destiny content. Just kept writing their name in the Death Note, just another one chalked up on the board, another victim, another body left in the wake of Nick's rage and his quest for revenge. And just like when L teamed up with Kira, Lord Nazo was directly trying to hunt himself down in secret. So he was on the front lines communicating with the content creators that he was actively striking, pretending to be on their side, and pretending to help try and find this fraudster that was issuing the takedowns. So he deceived all of them into thinking that he was there to help them, like Scooby-Doo, trying to sniff out the actual criminal here in this mystery. Meanwhile, he was the one actively doing it. It's so goofy. He'd send messages like this here, some of the silliest shit. Yeah, it's the people like us who suffer, the little guys, or just anyone with fewer than 250k YouTube subscribers and 100k Twitter followers. This was absolutely a plan to put himself at the bottom of the list of potential suspects. So he'd say things like, yeah, I was also a victim of this a few months ago. There's something real evil out there, and we've got to find him. I won't rest until this dubious actor is brought to justice. He'd go on and on, dropping breadcrumbs like it's definitely a fraud, and then even going into detail about how easy it is to take down someone's content using YouTube's broken system. Just constantly saying things like, it's actually a fraud out there and I know it. Just trying like his best to make it seem like he's super innocent and on their side. But unfortunately, it was all a ruse, and he was the one guilty of this crime. And for this crime, he is facing a $7.6 million lawsuit. That's a fat one. To my knowledge, that's the biggest lawsuit against any YouTuber so far. The previous record, I believe, was the $1.7 million against Roblox YouTuber Ruben. This is blowing that out of the water right now. And this is a lawsuit this guy would absolutely lose. He's guilty. Like he is literally like admitted to it. He has been caught red-handed with his hand in the cookie jar. They have absolutely caught him dead to rights on this charge. He did this, and it's pretty cut and dry. They got the information from YouTube. They even have these Discord screenshots where he like subtly hints at exactly how he's doing it. There's just no wiggle room here. So this is a lawsuit that he can't possibly win, really. And I've seen a lot of people defending him saying, like, he was actually doing it just to make a point about how broken the system is. And that's a good point to make, because the system is broken, but this is the worst way of doing it. He's committing crimes. This is a crime. And it's a really douchey one at that, because he is actively hurting the livelihood of all of his peers. All 96 of those videos that he copyright struck were either friends of his, mutuals, or Destiny content creators that rely on content creation for their livelihood, and he threatened it, directly threatened it. That's not necessarily a petty crime. That's a big deal, and that's a wide-stretching one that affects a lot of people. So I think he absolutely deserves to be slapped like this and made an example out of. Shit like this isn't okay. YouTube actually slapped someone like this in a similar fashion back in like 2019. There was a guy issuing fraudulent takedowns for other content. I think it was Minecraft. And he got slapped with 25K per takedown notice. And you know what happened? That shit didn't happen again because they made an example out of that guy. And that's exactly what Bungie's doing with Nick, Lord Nazo here. And I think it's the right play. Bungie's seeking 150K for each of the works implicated in the fraudulent takedowns for a total of $7.65 million, and plus the legal fees. And just last week, they won a settlement of twice that in a dispute with a Destiny 2 cheat seller. So Bungie's already riding momentum here. They already copped a previous W here, and it looks like they might get another one if this makes it to court. And all of this over Miner's YouTube channel, which had less than 3,000 subs. Ultimately, I think Lord Nazo wanted to do something good. Like, he truly believed he was the hero in this anime, where he's fighting against a mega corporation that wrongfully took down his content, and he wanted to make an example out of a broken system. But he failed to realize that he was never the hero to begin with, because his content was straight rips from their official soundtrack that he re-uploaded, fully knowing that that's not allowed, and even receiving warning that that's not allowed, and still acted surprised and angry when he eventually lost his channel because of it. And then in his temper tantrum, tried to spin this narrative where, like, this system's broken and I'll prove it, by targeting the company that made me mad. And by targeting that company, he targeted a ton of normal people that had nothing to do with Bungie. And as a result of that, their livelihoods got kind of fucked for a little bit. Bungie's reputation got fucked for a while. And a lot of the other music uploaders who actually do have permission and uploaded music fully within fair use policies, they took down their content in order to avoid being struck because they thought it was Bungie just going on a killing spree. So they panicked and removed all of that content from their own channels, which again hurt their livelihood and still does because the content's not back up since they deleted it. And that now is now off YouTube. All of that content's gone as a result of this guy going commando mode. So the results of all of this were overwhelmingly negative across the board. There was nothing good here for anyone. And most of all, the worst part of it happened to Nick himself, now facing a life-changing lawsuit of $7.6 million. A really fucking crazy story, honestly, with a twist ending that I didn't expect. When I was first reading about this, I thought it'd be like a group of people doing a coordinated effort against Bungie that they had like a disagreement with. I didn't think it would be a single person that just had a petty disagreement with the company. It's just absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So I just wanted to share this because I thought it was pretty crazy and pretty sad at the same time, to be honest. And that's about it. See ya. It's impossible to say what the worst feeling in the world might be. I think most people would default to answering that with something painful, like getting hit with a sledgehammer, getting shot. Childbirth is usually towards the top of that tier list for how painful it is. Maybe watching Rebel Moon Part 2 for how abominable it is. But I actually think there's a right answer to what the worst feeling in the world is. And it's being dead. And a YouTube channel called Watcher would agree with my analysis because they experienced death for about 3 days when they released their Goodbye YouTube video, where they announced that they were leaving the platform in order to have their own subscription-based third-party platform for their content going forward, and people didn't like that. They got spit on more than a mic at a beatboxing competition, and now they're backpedaling. They've released an apology, and they've announced that they've made a mistake, they've apologized, and they've talked about their plan going forward now. I'll bring you up to speed on the lore in case you're unfamiliar with this story, but this is a massive YouTube channel. They are a beloved group where they made this absolute wet fart of announcement where it was saying that they were going to be producing all of their content going forward behind a paywall on their own platform for $6 a month. So all of the content that their fans were used to getting on YouTube for free is now locked behind a $6 a month subscription fee. They said they continue to drop premieres on YouTube, but the rest of the season, well, that would cost you some clams to access. Obviously, this ruffled everyone's feathers, especially considering they already have a Patreon where people were signing up for monthly membership fees of $5, $10, or $25 a month, and this was an additional service on top of that for a monthly subscription, so it was just a disaster. And they lost close to like 100,000 subs over the course of 3 days. It wasn't quite 100K, but it was a lot. And now, today, they've released this.
Hey everyone, last Friday we announced that we're leaving YouTube and launching our new streaming platform. We messed up.
A lot of you spoke out with extremely valid comments and concerns, and we want to take the time now to address those.
We've been reading the things you've been saying, and we're sorry for the way we handled this, as well as the way we communicated it.
Right up front, it succeeds where a lot of other YouTuber apologies fail. They say they fucked up, and they say the golden word, I'm sorry. They make an apology right off rip. So it's a pretty good start to this one, all things considered.
We understand where you're coming from, and we're making immediate changes.
First, we want to affirm that you are the reason why we've been able to do anything at this company. You helped us every step of the way when we left BuzzFeed to start Watcher at the top of the pandemic in 2020.
You've supported us in so many ways by watching our content, attending our live shows, buying our merch, becoming members of our Patreon, and giving words of encouragement over the years.
This is another super strong moment here because it's tugging on the audience's heartstrings. It's very much buttering them up in a positive way. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's clear that they recognize the significance of having that audience. The whole content creation shit online doesn't work if no one's watching it. I mean, I guess if you had like an army of bots that view it, like you're a kick streamer or something, then maybe you can make an argument that it'd be sustainable even if you don't have a single human being watching. But clearly they understand that you need a passionate audience in order to survive in the online cyberspace Thunderdome. Now, there is something I want to mention here, though. He briefly mentions some of the ways the audience has supported them over the years, such as buying the merch, attending the live shows, subscribing to the Patreon for the monthly fee, and encouraging words. 3 out of 4 of those are huge revenue drivers. The kind words, not so much. You can't really make a whole lot of money. You can't convert nice comments to USD. There's no direct conversion there for that. I mean, unless you're making Hallmark cards, perhaps. But those other 3, attending live shows, subscribing to the Patreon, and also buying the merch. And there is a 4th one there as well, which is just by watching the videos, you are directly financially supporting them because AdSense through YouTube monetization, as well as the brand partners that have paid to be on their content. So they're already heavily monetized content, and I didn't even think about the live shows the first time I watched their video. That's a huge part of some teams' bottom lines because they bring in so much money. It's like one of the main revenue drivers for bands in particular with concerts and buying tickets to it. So they have a lot of revenue sources already for their brand. So then immediately after hearing that in this video, I was like, so then why did you want to do Watcher TV for $6 a month? You have all of these other streams that the audience has been supporting for so long. Why would you want to have another one to milk those titties dry? Like, it just doesn't seem right. It seems greedy. Now, they do shine some light on the motive behind doing this, the reason behind the Watcher TV idea in the first place. So we'll get to that pretty soon.
And we are incredibly grateful for your support.
We're sorry for how we originally delivered our goodbye message to YouTube. It was insensitive. We didn't properly express how much we appreciate all of you. And we did a really bad job of explaining the reasoning behind this transition.
We also want to deeply apologize for our ignorance around the impact of the cost. We regret stating and implying that it's a price that anybody can afford, and we fully acknowledge that it is not. We didn't take the proper consideration for how this cost would affect you, and hope you know that we are taking this as a serious learning experience.
It seems like they really did listen to pretty much all the feedback. They're hitting all of the main points, both in their delivery as well as the actual idea behind this venture. So it's nice that they're up here taking the accountability and saying, yeah, these are things that we really just didn't even think about. I'm sorry, we fucked it up. Like that is something that you don't see very often, so it's nice to see them just take it on the chin here.
With that in mind, we're making some changes to ensure that there's a way for our community to continue watching our content for free.
If you want to watch our shows early and ad-free, you can catch them on the Watcher platform a month earlier. After that, you'll be able to watch our shows on YouTube for free. For those that have already subscribed to the platform, we are so grateful for your support. But if this change has you rethinking your membership, we will issue a full refund. And all past episodes and series will remain available on YouTube.
That's a pretty solid change overall. That is something you see for a lot of Patreons for YouTubers or third-party offerings if it's not Patreon. So it does make sense that they do this here. I am surprised that that's not something they were already offering on Patreon with early access. That's one of the more standard ones. But I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If there's people that are just hungry, starved for more Watcher content, they can subscribe for $6 a month on that platform and they get that content fed to them a month early. And those that don't want to or can't afford to can just wait for it to premiere on YouTube for free, as it has always done in the past for the content that they've come to know and love. That gets 2 thumbs way up from me for the back of the DVD box on that change. I think that's completely fine. Everyone wins there. If you really want the content early, you subscribe to the early access membership for Watcher TV. And if you just want to get the content that you already know you like, you just wait for it to come up on YouTube, and it's no different for you. So I think that is a totally fair compromise.
As for the question of why we decided to launch our own platform, when we started Watcher in 2020, we wanted to create shows that we were proud of, that we had ownership over, and that would provide you the caliber of content that we felt you deserved. However, we were finding it harder and harder to stay relevant to advertisers and the constantly changing YouTube landscape.
This is where my eyebrow raised a bit, so I decided to look into their content just briefly. I didn't do like a full deep dive here, but of their last 20 videos, 12 of them have brands on them. I'm excluding their Goodbye YouTube video, but also there's one more in that batch of 20 that I think doesn't really count, and it's a teaser trailer for the mystery files that they did, so it was just a very short trailer. But 12 out of 19 full videos have sponsors in them. As I mentioned in the last video, I own an agency that manages a lot of major YouTube channels of this size and bigger. So I know what a lot of those deals look like, and I know that those deals are super lucrative. And at their size, those are significant numbers that we're looking at. Over half of their videos of the last 20 are brand partnered. It doesn't seem like they were really struggling to get brands on their content, so I don't exactly know what he means by staying relevant to brands, especially because in this industry, brands focus mainly on your cold, hard Carfax, your metrics, your numbers, and they pull in great viewership numbers as well as a very engaged community. So brands must have hearts in their eyes anytime they get the chance to work with Watcher, just because their numbers are so good. But on top of that, they actually produce some of the most brand-friendly content imaginable. This is the type of shit brands salivate over. It's long-form, highly produced content, and the creators actually do skits for the ads. At least in all the ones I've seen. They do like a fully produced brand piece in this content. So the audience actually enjoys watching these ads. That is a match made in heaven for sponsors. So I was very confused on what he meant by staying relevant to brands. And then the second thing about, staying relevant in like the ever-changing YouTube ecosystem, that's a totally understandable one. I get that. The YouTube ecosystem is 100% like this boogeyman that no one fully understands. But it doesn't really make sense to me. We found it harder and harder to compete in the ever-changing YouTube landscape, so we abandoned it. We waved the white flag and said we're defeated, so we created our own platform with blackjack and hookers. That's a Futurama reference. I'm not saying that's what Watcher TV is. But the point is, why would you go from this is a lot going on YouTube and it's changing to, all right, guess we got to leave it now and then charge people for access? That just doesn't really compute to me because you kill your brand, obviously, which I think they've recognized now from all the feedback. It's very hard to get people to subscribe to $6 a month content on a third-party platform they don't know, as opposed to just showing them some free YouTube videos. You built your brand very successfully on YouTube, and you are still only growing from everything I can tell. So why would you abandon it at the height of your growth, right? Like that, I don't know, that reason doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I understand being like afraid about, long-term sustainability with how frequently YouTube is changing. I do get that, but I feel like the natural progression there would be like, okay, so how can we stay competitive on YouTube? As opposed to, okay, how the fuck can we get out of here?
We faced some incredibly challenging decisions. We didn't want to compromise our content to ensure they met advertising requirements, and we definitely did not want to lay people off that have brought Watcher to life behind the scenes, and we didn't want to bring Watcher to a close, which would have happened if we stayed solely on YouTube.
That's why we decided to launch the platform, so that we as a company could continue, we could pay our staff fairly, and not only continue to make great content for you, but expand with new shows, new voices, all ad-free. And now with the addition of accessible options, this is a decision that we all believe is the best for Watcher.
All those reasons he lists are perfectly reasonable. You don't want to lay off your staff, great. You want to pay them fair, great. Like all of these, they check mark the boxes of good shit. I support that. But I don't understand why your only option was to leave YouTube and charge $6 a month to your audience that's already paying for more merch, live shows, and Patreon. At least a large number of them are. They have over 13.4 thousand Patreon members right now. From all of this controversy, their Patreon has actually flourished more than it ever has from what I can see. So why would you want to take even more money out of their piggy banks here? The strategy would be to keep growing on YouTube so you can continue to monetize, you can charge higher rates to the brands that you work with, that I imagine you will continue to work with. And also, more views means more AdSense money. And like I said, this channel is so advertiser friendly. It's exactly what brands and YouTube themselves want, long form, high quality content. Their RPM is probably super fucking high. So the more they would grow on YouTube, the more money they would stand to make. They would easily be able to expand, I would think, without charging $6 a month for their initial idea of paywalling the content that they were used to giving for free. I do like their new model of pay $6 a month for early access, but I still do find it unnecessary. I feel like the only reason that's there is because they can't fully walk back that now. They can't just get rid of that because people have already paid for it, so they need to offer something to those people that have already signed up. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for the survival of their brand. I really don't. Like I said, I know what these brands pay to be on the content. So just their sponsorships, I know they're bringing in six figures from these sponsorships. Easy. And their Patreon, you can start crunching the numbers. 13.4 thousand Patreons at $5 minimum up to $25. Like, come on. That's a lot per month. Plus their merch is pretty pricey and people are clearly buying their merch. It seems to sell out quite a bit. That's a lot too. Live show tickets, when those come around, that's a pretty big influx. Their AdSense popping off. Like, they have so many revenue streams. I don't know how they can possibly be at this point where they need to find more ways of taking money from their audience in order to survive. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me unless there's some really odd mismanagement going on behind the scenes here. The videos they make aren't cheap, but I am confident that they're not costing them $500,000 per video or something outlandish like that. I know that's not the case. So how can you possibly be at this point where we had to find a new subscription for people to pay for in order to keep Watcher alive? I just don't get that.
However, we realized that in figuring out the logistics of what this might take, we overlooked the way it would impact all of you. We hope you'll be patient with us through these mistakes, and we remain incredibly sorry that they were made in the first place.
We also want to directly address our Patreon community, who have played such a key role in supporting us from the very beginning. All current Patreon members will receive a free subscription code to the platform. If you already purchased a subscription, please contact us and we will issue you a full refund.
We look forward to continuing to make shows and introducing all the incredible things that we've got planned for the platform alongside YouTube. And in the meantime, we are forever grateful to all of the people who make up our community. And we hope that you consider joining us in this next chapter of our journey, whether that's on YouTube or on the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Overall, this is a good apology video, I feel. They say I'm sorry multiple times, they admit their faults, they try and explain why things were the way that they are and how they missed the mark. Like, they take a lot of it and seem to understand it from a place of genuine authenticity, which is great. I still, however, don't understand why it reached that point to begin with. I don't see how a channel of their size and their success with all of the revenue streams that they currently offer could possibly be struggling financially. I really don't understand. I don't. Like, knowing what I know about this space, I just don't see how they could be needing to take even more money from their audience to survive. I do think they made a good change with what they're offering for $6 a month. I personally don't think that it's necessary at all, though, especially because the way they frame it in this video makes it sound like that's the only way the Watcher survives, is if they find a way to monetize even more off the backs of their viewers. So that's why the $6 a month there is being charged, because it helps keep them afloat. I don't know how they could possibly, with all of these revenue streams, be struggling to the degree that they make it seem like they are. But whatever, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. This announcement was very positively received by their audience, and that's the most important thing for the health of their channel and their brand, is that their audience feels satisfied with this update. And from what I can tell, they do. A lot of them do still state that there's been a breach of their trust here with what they tried, but it seems like they're forgiving and willing to see how things play out for this group in the future. So I guess we'll see what the watcher does down the line. That's really about it. So yeah. What an interesting week for YouTube. A couple days ago, they did something I don't think anyone ever expected. They fought a giant company on behalf of a YouTuber. Something they've never done before. A world first here. Made me want to pat them on the ass and tell them good game. A great, great move from YouTube, finally. And then the next day, they made an absolutely horrible decision that made me want to cry, cum, and puke. It is baffling how they could go from something that everyone loves to something that everyone hates in the matter of 24 hours. It's crazy. It's a real Jekyll and Hyde situation at YouTube. There's a team that makes some good decisions, some good shit that people like to see, and then there's a team that's more active than that team, the fucking boogeyman unit, that makes the worst possible decisions imaginable for the platform. So let's go over both. I want to start with the positive side first to cushion the yuckiness of the negative side. So this is actually a situation we followed since December with a YouTuber named Totally Not Mark. Mark is an anime and manga YouTuber who set a world record for fastest dead channel thanks to 150 videos being taken down in a single day by Toei Animations. They Thanos snapped the majority of his content away because they claimed his content infringed on their copyright and fair use. They don't believe in it. It's like Santa Claus to Toei. So he lost all 150 videos. That was a big part of his channel. I think at the time he was only left with like 60 or 70 videos on his channel after that. So it was a massive blow to him. And it's obviously extremely hard for an individual to fight against a company of Toei's size with as much money as they have. They can just toss their legal meat around as much as they want and not feel it. It's not the same for someone like Mark. So they were using their big fucking nuts and their big wallet to bully Mark and keep the videos down. So he had a very difficult time until 2 days ago, we got an update to the situation where Mark basically won for the most part against Toei because YouTube stood up for him and fought for him against Toei. And it actually revealed how petty Toei was. I'll give you like a brief overview of the situation, but I highly encourage you to check out Mark's video on it because he obviously goes into more detail. But he revealed that Toei actually violated YouTube's policy because initially Toei wanted to strike Mark's channel 150 times for each instance they believed that he infringed on their copyright. Now, for those that don't know, a strike is the worst thing that can happen to you on YouTube. It's like getting hit over the head with a sledgehammer. It's 3 strikes and your channel gets deleted. 150 strikes is what Toei wanted thrown against Mark. That wouldn't have only deleted his channel, that would have sent Mark straight to prison, banished him straight to the fucking Shadow Realm, sent him to hell. That is an absurd amount of strikes that they tried to throw at Mark all at once. They loaded up the cannon and fucking tried to blast him. But YouTube didn't let it happen. They said, no, we're not going to do that because we believe his content is most likely fair use. Like an argument could be made for it, so they initially didn't let Toei do that. So what Toei did is they went behind YouTube's back and used a different set of tools to manually go through and take down 150 videos, copyright block them. So he didn't get strikes, but Toei still got the videos taken down. And this was a complete violation of the YouTube policy. So when Mark finally did get a team at YouTube that wanted to help him and assembled the Avengers at the YouTube HQ, they noticed what Toei did and realized this is not okay, this is a violation. So then YouTube just wiped their ass with Toei's face. Like they full-blown just put their ass in Toei's asshole. They washed the blocks and came to the compromise where YouTube was going to block those 150 videos in Japan only, which, because Toei was arguing that it's not fair use by Japan law, YouTube said, okay, bet. Blocked in Japan. They're fine everywhere else. So now for the most part, Mark has all those videos back online everywhere except Japan, which he's not super upset about. And that concludes the Totally Not Mark vs. Toei anime arc. Now I think it is worth mentioning that Toei can still fight this, and I think there's a great chance they probably will considering how petty and out of touch they are. They could try and make a legal argument that the 150 videos are a complete violation of copyright law and they are not fair use, but they would have to argue that outside of Japanese law. They would have to prove that on like a global scale that Mark is some kind of evil super villain mastermind pirate sailing the 7 seas. He's crossed the Grand Line and is delivering illegal anime review and manga analysis. They could still try, I think they might, but for now it's overall a victory for Mark, and I was happy to see this and really happy to see YouTube for the first time actually standing up for a creator in the face of a massive corporation putting pressure on them. So, now that I've fed you the good shit, let me go ahead and give you your vegetables now. I'm gonna give you a little coffee enema here, some gross shit. YouTube recently hinted that NFTs are coming to the platform. We don't know in what capacity, but it seems like YouTube really wants NFTs to be an integral part of the YouTube ecosystem. This came right after Twitter introduced the profile pic NFT system they have, where you can turn your fucking goofy profile pic into an NFT, and it's just like this hexagon. The NFT craze, it is an endless drain of misery. So yeah, YouTube is looking to bring NFTs to the platform and ignoring all problems. Like, instead of fixing things on YouTube, they're just introducing more fucking problems and things that people don't want. People still want dislikes back. No one's given up on that crusade. Everyone still wants dislikes back, and the only thing YouTube's done on it is double down, saying they made the right call. And then after doubling down on the removal of dislikes, they then announced NFTs. Luckily, these two things are going to coincide greatly, because when they do bring the NFTs to the platform, it's going to have nothing but likes on it. You know, you won't be able to see if anyone disliked it. It's going to be 100% approval rate, baby, because dislikes are fucking gone. I still can't get over that, and after reading the article, it made me even more upset just how out of touch they are. And I don't think they're genuinely out of touch. I think they know exactly what they're doing. By hiding dislikes, it only helps corporations, and they know that. They keep bringing up this dog shit argument of the reason they removed it was because of targeted harassment campaigns where people mass disliked videos, which hurt creators' feelings. But that's such a small, awful example to use, and their solution doesn't even work, because the creator still sees when videos are mass disliked. They still see the dislikes. So who does it help? It doesn't do anything. The creator is still seeing that, hey, these people fucking hate me. But no one else can see that. So it's still just hurting the creator's feelings. Like, it doesn't do anything to solve the problem that they keep saying it was aiming to solve. All it does is help it look better. Help YouTube look better to advertisers and corporations. It's fucking gross, it's fucking silly, it's stupid, and it is still the worst change YouTube has probably ever made. It just blows my mind how they can have one team that does something super great, like what they did with the Totally Not Mark situation, and then a team like this that removes dislikes and introduces NFTs. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if YouTube in the next 5 or 6 years removes the ability to even upload videos yourself. You'd have to mint them as NFTs on the blockchain or something. Like, YouTube just becomes an NFT video sharing platform, and that's it. Like, imagine nothing but bored apes, but animated, and that's YouTube. Just sad, silly, stupid, upsetting shit. No one wants non-fungible tokens on YouTube. They can go funge themselves. No one is asking for this, and yet YouTube's bringing it anyway. Because right now NFT is that fat hotness. Everyone wants to get in on NFTs. Jimmy Fallon's popping off on Bored Apes. Gwyneth Paltrow's even got her own Goop line of Bored Apes. You know, everyone in the corporate space loves it, and so YouTube is following suit. So yeah, just wanted to talk about these two things here, because it's been a pretty wild week for YouTube. That's about it. So yeah. The best stories ever told are the ones that have the satisfying conclusion of the good guys winning in the end against evil, overcoming insurmountable odds to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in a miraculous triumph. But we don't live in those stories, we live in cringe, so that's not always the case here in reality. And a haunting reminder of that fact is what just happened with Friendly Jordies. Friendly Jordies is an Australian YouTuber whom I've covered on the channel multiple times. I truly believe he is one of the best investigative journalists in the world, period. With no exaggeration, he risks his life to serve the community and inform them of corruption that it's gone unchecked, and his reward for this is his house being firebombed and his life being threatened multiple times. And these aren't the kind of death threats that you see all the time on Twitter, where a 13-year-old anime fan gets upset if you say you don't like something about their favorite show. These are death threats from an organized group of criminals with a very scary history and a track record of already trying to murder Jordan Shanks, Friendly Jordies. They fucking firebombed his house. Well, actually, they firebombed his neighbor's house because the absolute goobers got it wrong the first time and then came back to try and finish the job by firebombing his actual residence. So they have already tried to take his life before. That's some shit that you only see in, like, espionage, blockbuster Hollywood films, and yet Friendly Jordies is living through it right now because New South Wales is so unbelievably corrupt that it's festering in the public eye. And yet the authorities that are supposed to protect and look out for the public safety are just closing their eyes and plugging their ears to all of this unfolding in front of them. It's despicable. It seems New South Wales is more corrupt than Gotham at this point. Friendly Jordies yesterday posted a video where he had to publicly admit defeat at the hands of this corruption, unfortunately.
You might have noticed that we haven't been releasing videos after the police arrested a suspect for the firebombing of my house. While we're very grateful for their persistence throughout this ordeal, we felt it would be prudent to see what the response would be from certain individuals.
If you haven't kept up with the lore here, I'll give you the previously on Dragon Ball Z recap. They did finally make an arrest on one of the suspects responsible for the firebombing of his house. It took about a year, but better late than never. Rather be tardy to the party than not show up at all. At least it's seeming like crime won't pay. They won't get away with this, right? Wrong! Idiot! Stupid! Can you stop sipping on your moron potion for a second? Put the stupid juice down? Of course the criminals are gonna get away with it, because I guess that's just the way things go in New South Wales. At least when it comes to criminals of this caliber, the very powerful ones, who are just seemingly above the law.
Their response has been one of rather perplexing confidence. Buoyed by the lack of further arrests, they have decided to be much more blunt with their requests, threatening anyone they believe had handed over information to assist with the creation of the video Coronation. This video detailed links former Deputy Premier John Barilaro had with development company Coronation Property. The video encompassed more than Coronation Property Associates. It included an array of spirited characters, many of whom were enraged with its release. Police have made it very clear that many of the prime suspects in the firebombing are in that video.
The video he's talking about here is a video Friendly Jordies and his team released called Coronation, and this shit was so hot it'd leave the toilet bowl steaming. It was massive. Friendly Jordies and his team released a firebomb of their own with this one here. Coronation highlights a lot of horrible things going on with a lot of very scary and powerful people doing bad shit. And they were not happy that this video got posted, and it put a target on Friendly Jordies' back. Really, it put the target right on his fucking forehead, right on his noggin, because this was a big deal. It caused a lot of ripples, and it made him public enemy number one of this group of people.
Now, over a year later, these figures are once again venting, threatening dire consequences if the video isn't taken down. Given these people's colourful history, we don't consider these to be idle threats. Naturally, we contacted the appropriate authorities, but it appears these men have engulfed the state in a state of fear. It appears these men are indeed above the law. It appears these men are free to point the scythe at anyone they wish, blackmail them with the most heinous, violent acts imaginable, and there is not an authority in the land powerful enough, or perhaps foolhardy enough, to check them.
Just tragic. Where do you go when the authorities abandon you? What are you supposed to do when the people that are supposed to protect you refuse to, because the people that are coming after you are stronger than them and out of their reach, just untouchable? What can you possibly do besides just comply?
But if the content of Coronation is to fall on willfully deaf ears, if its only tangible result is the death of innocent people, we will not have their lives hang on our conscience. In other words, you win. We're taking down the video. Congratulations, you run this city.
It's sad because it's such an important piece of investigative journalism, but it's also the only choice they could make in this situation. This isn't a group that's making idle threats. They have already firebombed twice, and they have a history of doing a lot more, as was highlighted by Jordies and his team. So they did the only thing they could when faced against this enemy. They just complied. They took down that video. Now, of course, since it's the internet, nothing's ever really gone forever in this cyberspace, except of course for all my old YouTube videos I deleted when I was a teenager because I was embarrassed of them and worried that the copyrighted music would cause a problem, so I deleted them in like 2012. And I desperately want those videos back, but they can't be reclaimed. Those are the only things in the entire documented history of the World Wide Web that are apparently just fucking poofed out of existence forever and can't be brought back. But aside from that, nothing else has ever really gone forever. There's always re-upload, there's always archives of it. So in this case, Coronation, the video that he had to take down, is re-uploaded 1,000 times already. So it's not like completely dead and buried or anything like that. And I saw a lot of people saying this could actually, start the Streisand effect here on this and have even more eyes on this group, which I guess is possible, but I think the big victory for them is that they've shown that they can kind of bully and strong-arm anyone with impunity. They can't be touched by authorities. They just have this green light to do whatever they want with no repercussions, so they're able to force Jordies to take down a video they didn't like. And they they're just demonstrating that power here. And I think that's kind of what they were aiming to do. Not so much shut down the information, because I'm sure they knew that this was just going to be re-uploaded, but it's just kind of letting Geordies and pretty much everyone else know that they can do what they want. And it's very fucking scary just how powerful they are. Being a real investigative journalist has to be one of the most dangerous things you can do. I've mentioned this a few times before, but this isn't like the only example of this happening to an investigative journalist. It just happens to be one of the few times that happens to be a YouTuber as well. So more people are made aware of what's going on. One of the biggest ones that I always go to is the Panama Papers, if any of you remember that. The Panama Papers were a massive deal for about a day. And then collectively, the whole world stopped talking about it mysteriously, even though the Panama Papers were quite alarming. And one of the lead investigative journalists behind the Panama Papers released was actually killed in a car bomb, and nobody ever talked about it. I bet most of you didn't even know that. Anytime I bring that up, I'm met with question marks in my stream chat. Investigative journalism is a dangerous thing to get into. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for the ones that do take this on to try and help their community and keep everyone informed and safe and let everyone know what's going on, so that way people can be more aware. So what Geordies and his team do, I think, is extremely important work, and they are very, very good at it. So it's just really upsetting to see them have to admit defeat at the hands of this corruption they've been fighting against. And it's downright shameful from the authorities in New South Wales for their refusal to do anything about this. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya. For a lot of people, if they hear the word YouTuber, they immediately just let out a sigh or an eye roll. It's not exactly a career that everyone has a lot of respect for or is viewed all that positively by everybody, and it's not hard to understand why. The only profession with a more negative reputation than YouTubers is telemarketers, and it's pretty close. That's a tight squeeze there. Now, with millions of YouTubers on the platform, of course, there's obviously going to be some bad apples in the bunch, but that doesn't mean it's all rotten. And to prove it, I'd like to present to you a champion. This is a channel that I believe goes to infinity and beyond to deliver not only extremely high quality, entertaining content, but also extremely important work as well. It could make even the Grinch's heart grow 3 sizes, and also leave that little bastard terrified, cowering in fear, trembling in a corner if he has ever done anything shady or corrupt in his past. Because I swear, Friendly Geordies would get to the bottom of it and blast that ass on the big screen. Friendly Geordies is the channel we're going to be talking about today. It's run by a man named Jordan Shanks, or as many of you probably know him from the Wiki Alpha community, Jordan Sex Money Shanks. And he actually has an entire team of equally ripped immortal alpha deities that are all united by a single goal: to expose corruption in all of its forms and make a mockery out of evil people. That's not exactly the safest mission to embark on here. This is playing life on ultra nightmare mode, really, because he doesn't just go for low-hanging fruit. He targets some of the most nefarious, shady, corrupt organizations and people throughout all of Australia. And he does more than just Australia, but he is from the land down under, so a lot of his content and investigations have been focused on Australia, but has recently branched out into covering some of the most fucked up situations that even I've never heard of before, such as one of his most recent pieces of content called Paradise Bombed, where Geordies and his team covered a disgusting, tragic situation that unfortunately does involve bombing of completely innocent people. And in the very first frame of this video, this is one of Geordie's team members holding a bomb. Like a goddamn corn on the cob. He's just manhandling a bomb while talking about the situation that's going on. I highly recommend watching this video in particular. It's not only an extremely eye-opening story they cover and an extremely sad one, but it also shows you just how seriously they take all of their investigations and just how thorough they'll be. They fucking went to the place getting bombed. Like, that is beyond, like, so far above and beyond what other journalists do these days, it's laughable. This isn't the first time I've talked about Friendly Geordies. In fact, it's far from it. Many of you have probably already heard me go full gushing granny mode over this guy and his team's content plenty of times in the past. And it's because I have such a deep admiration for the risk he takes doing it. It's, without an exaggeration, a hefty price he could pay with his life. Many of you might remember 9 months ago, his house got firebombed by some of the people that he was investigating, allegedly. His house got firebombed, but not only that, his neighbor's house got firebombed because the goddamn turbo Illuminati Cronenbergian homunculi that were trying to hunt down and execute friendly Geordies couldn't quite figure out which of the two houses was Geordie's, so they ended up firebombing his neighbors, and then came back to try and finish the job by firebombing his house the following day. An actual attempt on his life. And you know how Geordie's responded to that firebomb? By making an absolute banger video following it up, going into all of the investigations and all of the potential culprits that could have been behind the firebomb attack. And that list is not short by any means. There is nothing but powerful heavy hitters on that list because of the investigations and reporting Friendly Geordies and his team do. And yet, even in the face of attempts on his life, he still keeps delivering extremely important reporting on all of these bad people. If that's not heroic journalism, then I really don't know what is. And another thing that's important to note is that he is constantly villainized, treated like a fucking demon by the media over there for some reason, even though what he's presenting is just immutable facts about awful people that most normal people are rallying behind him for and appreciative of. He and his team do great work, is the point I'm getting at, and it comes at a great cost to both his safety and the safety of his team. Jordan isn't the only member of his team that's been targeted by some powerful organizations. Another member of his team had a very famous incident where they were wrestled down and a lot of other bad things happening around them, arrested, investigated for like terrorism, all over a bunch of baloney. So I don't want to just keep diving into the extended lore of the Geordie's cinematic universe here, but I highly recommend that you do a deep dive on his content if any of this kind of journalism sounds appealing to you. But I think I'm doing it an injustice by just calling it journalism because it's a lot more than that. Not only is the investigation and the reporting extremely valuable, but the way he presents it is perfect. He and his team also spend a ton of time crafting really entertaining skits or going hog wild to commit to a bit. So in one of his investigations, he was, this is my favorite, he was doing a deep dive on everything related to a guy named John Barilaro. Eventually this culminated with him finding out that John Barilaro actually rents his very expensive property as an Airbnb. So Geordie's, in this very public feud, this wasn't the first time he was investigating Barilaro, in a very public feud, a bunch of back and forth spitting on each other, Geordie's just books it for a little while, which has to be a massive security problem. John Barilaro was not some nobody, nothing burger of a person. He had so much fucking power, and he's just renting out his estate for anyone to go in and snoop.
A second house that's so big it has a second and third house on it. Like Mars's 2 moons that just got attracted into its gravitational pull. And might I just say, those spare houses are real nice, Giovanni. Yeah, I'm talking directly to you now. Because as you've probably gathered, or haven't because you're that dumb, I'm filming at your estate. And I want you to be the first to know that I f***ed in both your guest houses.
Putting the fear of God in Barilaro right there. He'll never be able to have a peaceful night of sleep again, wondering if there's still Jordan Shanks' DNA just leaving a big old wet spot somewhere in there that hasn't been cleaned by his many assistants. It's amazing. Of an actual fucking just checkmate W move from Geordie's here. Just blowing him a kiss saying, Big McThankies from McShankies, I had sex in your guest houses, and Lord only knows what else went on within those walls. It's so entertaining, and yet presents an extremely important investigation about some fucked up shit. Like, he and his team do outstanding work. I can't stress it enough. And another journalist I've talked about a lot, who's also a YouTuber, is CoffeeZilla. I also very highly and often sing his praises. And you know what? CoffeeZilla and Friendly Geordies just did a collaboration. The two of them just investigated an Australian crypto scammer named Brian King Legend, which is the most beautiful Xbox Live gamer tag of a fake name ever. And together, the two of them tag teamed him and gave him a fucking full-blown spit roast. So, the CoffeeZilla posted part 1 of that investigation, and Friendly Geordies posted part 2. And in Geordie's investigation, he does something similar to what he did with Barilaro. He goes to try and directly confront the person that they've investigated to, not only meme on them a bit, but also just try and talk to them about this whole thing. try and understand how someone could be so fucking evil. This crypto scammer made off with tons and tons of money, oodles of doubloons, all at the expense of real, normal people that trusted him with thousands upon thousands of dollars in his crypto projects. Real victims losing real money, and a real evil douchebag making all of the money. And it's a great investigation. It's an absolute fucking slam dunk on this piece of shit, and it's very fucking entertaining. So I just really wanted to talk about Friendly Jordies today because it is an example of a YouTuber I think that is just doing exceptional work that I think transcends just being a YouTuber. His reporting, his investigative journalism, and his style of presenting the information is entirely unique and super valuable. So in case anyone wasn't aware of him, I just wanted to just talk about it a bit. That's really it. See ya. Douche tubing isn't as easy as I make it sound. It's a very competitive field to be a successful douche tuber on this website. It's really an ass-eat-ass world when it comes to this shit, so you have to really go all in to try and find something unique to make yourself stand out in the douche tubing community. And this guy really came up with something wild here. This is a used condom prank on his mom. Truly nothing is sacred anymore. The gloves are coming off, and is the condom, clearly. Let's check this shit out. Let's see how the prank went.
Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's Kelvin Santana. Oh my god.
This is Calvin. He's his own favorite comedian, constantly making himself laugh uncontrollably, and I have absolutely nothing against this guy at all. I just find him to be the perfect example for the impact douche tubers have on the younger generation. This is obviously a young man who's watched a lot of douche tubers in his day, you know, the greats like Nate Garner and Morgs, and now he's trying to emulate what they've done because he saw how successful they were. And I just find that to be really sad that so many younger people are growing up aspiring to be like these assholes on the internet who film themselves being public nuisances for money.
I'm sorry guys, I'm just a little too excited right now, but if this is your first time on my channel and your first time seeing this beautiful precious face, okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Boy, you are ugly.
Oh, ouch.
Alright you guys, my mom is out of the house right now, so I went to the store a while back and I caught myself a little bit of these. Yeah, sir.
Yeah, it's a condom, baby. It goes on wieners.
Smash that like button for crazy condom stunts. Condom buying prank gone wild and sexual on mommy. Also, the way I know this prank is fake immediately is there's no way this kid is even old enough to buy condoms, so he needed his mom to go with him to buy condoms for him for this video. And even if that wasn't the case, conceptually, I don't really understand it. I don't know what Kelvin was expecting, like his mom to storm in there and get really offended that his son's got a condom on the floor, like she's upset that he cheated on her, maybe. But that's a really weird incest angle to work with and pretty disturbing to think about. Because like I feel like the normal reaction to a parent finding a condom would just be like, ooh, yucky, can you clean that up? That's kind of gross. Not like an overreaction gone wrong where she starts fucking flipping tables after seeing the condom and punching holes in walls and shit in her pants.
I'm gonna add some lotion inside the condom for you know what.
Have to critique the setup here. That's not what a condom on the floor in its natural habitat would look like. That's way too clean. This looks like a glamour shot, a photo shoot with a condom here, like it's advertising the brand. If you wanted this to be convincing, this wouldn't fool anyone. An expert of condom identification like me would immediately walk in here and call your ass a fucking fraud. It's just so obviously staged here, and no one would have the condom wrapper next to it. It just makes no sense. It needs to look natural, as if this just happened by pure accident, you know? Maybe some pee-pee stains around the condom, some urine drips around it, because let's say you ejaculated for so long and so hard that your body got confused and started just pissing really hard, filling the condom with urine, and then you panic, you throw the condom on the floor, bang, now you got some pee-pee and semen on your floor. Happens all the time, and that gives the condom on the floor some character. And it gives a little bit of a story, and you need the condom to have a story to it or no one's going to believe it. You throw in the urine and then bang, you're fooling even Penn and Teller with your condom setup prank.
¿No lo ves? Ya. Pero busca el fabuloso, dale, para que limpie. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? Oh. ¿Qué es eso? Really, Kevin?
I skipped through the part where he calls his mom and tells her the cat threw up. That was his plan to get her in there by blaming it on the cat, calling her to come clean up cat vomit because he's incapable of doing it himself. I think it's a lame way of doing it. I would have gone a lot further. I would have called her panicked, Mom, I'm being haunted by a used condom. It's floating around. Holy shit, we need the Ghostbusters because Bustin's making me feel good. Oh shit, help, Mom. And then she'd rush in there all like, confused and panicked. And then she'd see me on the bed and I'd be covered in used condoms, like a fucking sarcophagus of used condoms. She would be scarred, disturbed, and that would be some fat fucking douche tubing content. Take some notes, Kelvin. If you're gonna do the used condom prank again on your mom, you gotta double down on that shit.
What are you doing? Put it down. That's so dirty. That's so disgusting, Mom. What are you doing?
Yo pensé que mi hijo tenía un huevo bien grande. He's too small.
What are you? What are you doing?
I saw the camera.
As if every mom doesn't know the cock size of their child. It's a bit of a weird thing right there, the mom looking at the cum and like a detective being like, based on the volume of your semen, I can deduce that your penis is small, and I thought it'd be big. It's a bit of a weird statement, but clearly it was a joke. She's in on it, she saw the camera, and the next minute of the video is just him yelling about it and screaming and shit, so the prank really ends there, and what a banger it was. So, if you want to try the used condom prank on your mom, you might get some gone wrong shit going on, like what happened with Kelvin and his mom. His shit was wild. Absolutely wild. That's it. See ya. Hey, asshole, I've got 2 important questions for you. How far would you go for a sponsorship? And how far would you go for YouTube views? Would you crash a plane? Would you commit a felony? Huh? If your answer to that question is no, then you're a pussy and a coward. Take it from my man Trevor, who recently possibly crashed his plane on purpose for the sake of a viral YouTube video, which was also a sponsorship deal. It's a pretty wild story and one that I've been following actively since the day it was posted, which was about 13 days ago now. So just to break it down, I'll go ahead and play some footage quickly. An extreme YouTuber named Trevor, who's known for doing extreme shit like piloting, parachuting, skateboarding. I swear to God, this dude will finger blast your girlfriend while hitting a kickflip. He recently posted a video called I Crashed My Plane, and in the video he takes his friend's ashes and says he's going to spread them over his favorite mountains, but while on the flight, something goes awry. The engine stalls and he immediately abandons ship and just bails out of the plane. It honestly looks like in a video game when you press the wrong button when piloting, you just like accidentally jump out. And then he makes sure to get his GoPro and selfie stick ready so he gets some awesome footage of him skydiving basically from the plane that is inevitably going to crash. And while watching this, it seems like a scene right out of the Power Rangers movie from the early 2000s with Ivan Ooze, where the Rangers skydive, but they're hitting like all these gnarly tricks on a surfboard. That's the exact same vibe I got from this part. And then he parachutes, he lands, and then he hikes up to the crashed plane to observe the wreckage. And you can see it's completely totaled. It crashed into the side of the mountain, and then he's just kind of talking about it and then hikes back to civilization. Now, I watched this on stream last night. That's twitch.tv/moistcritical. I stream every day. Come stop by. It's the only stream guaranteed to get you laid. I'll put a link in the description. And while watching it with chat, we were just kind of going over everything, and then I watched a video that kind of talks about all of the things that are wrong with it. I'm no pilot. I'm really fucking dumb when it comes to aircrafts and everything, but there's a lot wrong with the video that the actual pilots have pointed out, and a couple of them that I'd like to just mention right away is almost no pilot flies with a parachute. That is very alarming for most pilots to see, apparently. And even he himself never flies with a parachute. In all of his other videos, he's never wearing one while piloting. He also doesn't really try to do anything to solve the problem when it stalls. It also stalls at a very convenient cruising altitude. And instead of trying to actually fix the problem, he just immediately bails out. And as another YouTuber pointed out, it's very suspicious that while something has gone wrong with the engine, we never see inside of the cockpit. All the cameras, like there's 12 cameras on this fucking thing. It's like a goddamn complete 360 video basically of all the camera coverage, but not a single time while the engine is apparently malfunctioning do we see anything in the cockpit. We only get the outside exterior shots of him about to jump out. So that was another very suspicious thing. A couple other pilots pointed out weird things that they noticed in the cockpit itself before everything goes wrong, and just so many things that make this video very suspicious. Seeing the YouTuber crash the plane for views? Yeah! I actually saw that the day he posted it. Someone sent me it in an email. Yeah, his name's Trevor Jacobs, the guy who crashed this plane. He still got it up, too. Oh, he turned off comments. You coward. Oh, you blew it, Trevor. You blew it. Yeah, so this dude... I mean, I'll let it play. Thanks for some bees. So, to break it down, well, you know, let me just let it play and then we can go over it. I watched this the day it was posted, though. I was on the forefront of this drama. Why, though? There's a couple theories. Most people think he did it just for the sponsorship, since it's a Ridge Wallet sponsorship. So he wanted it to have good views, so that way he'd get other sponsorships from them. Like, oh, look at how well this video performed for us. That's like the leading theory. But then the other theories is just wanting the attention. That insatiable appetite for some updoots.
What's happening? How's it going? My name's Trevor Jacob. Super grateful he'll be joining us.
Says in the video the engine fails. Okay, so I can already see people coming in here like, no, Charlie, this is completely legitimate. So let's go over a couple of things, and I'll play the corresponding clips. So it's around right here, where the engine stalls. Everything's gone wrong. Catastrophes happened. Every pilot's worst nightmare, next to like getting hit by an anti-air missile. And his first instinct is to jump out of the plane. He doesn't try and fix anything. He literally just leaps immediately. Which is quite literally, from what I understand, the last thing anyone should ever do as a pilot. There's a whole checklist of things they do before even considering this. And also, no pilots fly with a parachute normally. And neither does this guy. He only flew with a parachute in this video, and this video alone. All the other videos with him piloting a plane, he is not wearing a parachute. I love the way he exits the plane, though. And luckily it stalled at a nice cruising altitude. Dropping tilted towers. Yeah. Another thing a lot of people pointed out is while he's falling, you can see a ton of places that he could have potentially landed this plane. I'm not a pilot, so the reason I never even bothered talking about it is because I don't know fuck all about it. There were people a lot smarter than me that really dissected this and pointed out all of the bullshit. And this is a felony, crashing a plane on purpose. This is a really big deal. So obviously it generated a lot of waves in the actual community of pilots. So again, he never wore a parachute when piloting any of the other planes that he has flown in, yet he claims that he always wears one, which is just a blatant lie.
That's why I always freaking fly with a parachute.
No which he doesn't. Service. Yep. So this was obviously a big deal. I saw it when it happened. But there are so many things wrong with this. There's almost no realm where this is legitimate. Unless, of course, he quite honestly is the worst pilot to ever live, I suppose.
So Trevor's airplane that you normally see him flying in,
with no parachute,
red and white experimental airplane with the tail number, you can tell like it's very obvious that it's a different plane.
Guy jumped out of his airplane like he reached the map limit.
You can clearly see
cute.
the registration. We've got Santa Barbara and Santa Ynez.
Man, he's so lucky it didn't just miss the mountains and crash into a town. Like, holy fuck.
And then it does seem like the numbers have been painted over or obscured in some way, though, because you can never get a clear
Why would that help his case, though?
See what the numbers actually say.
If you can't see the numbers, why is that helpful to him? Because they can't track the flight.
Where's your paraglider?
But how does that help them if they can't track the flight? Can't they just watch this and pretty much plot the flight like this YouTuber did? I don't see how it's not... I don't see that how it helps them, though. For no room for speculate. Okay. I mean, I guess, yeah. I suppose. It just feels stupid, because if he's going to film this whole thing, he should obviously know that they can find his course. He shows him leaving the airport, and, like, that's probably... If 4chan can find Shia LaBeouf's flag in the middle of fucking nowhere by airplane routes and constellations, I'm sure the FAA could probably figure out where this dumb asshole was going, and what mountains he crashed into, considering there was only 2 possible locations nearby.
So if we take a look at the
Oh my god.
flight
What am I looking at?
we have right here,
fuck?
Lompoc, he said that his destination
Oh my god, Jesus.
all the way
Fuck.
up here. So this is where he started. This is there.
We're in the mainframe.
I felt like I needed to say something. A lot of other people have questions too.
That's another thing I noticed. The actual pilot community is, for some reason, like the most respectful and nicest community of all time that I've ever seen on the internet. Like, in the comments before you disabled them, all the pilots that knew this was bullshit, they were like, well, there's a lot of inconsistencies with what I'm seeing here. I'd like to trust you, and I think against my better judgment I will, but here's everything that's clearly wrong about everything here. And even this guy's video, which is basically an exposed video, amounts to him just saying, like, yeah, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's probably just, about a lot of weird things happening. Yeah, plain people just seem super nice. And this exposed video is so big brain, I couldn't even understand half of the things he used to debunk the bullshit. For me, I knew it was garbage when someone sent it to me, and the first thing the dude did was just bail out of the plane like it was fucking GTA. He tried no troubleshooting at all from a cruising altitude where he had plenty of time to at least try and, like, restart the engine or like, glide it to a landing nearby or anything. He's just like, yep, I'm fucking out. Peace. And then he has also one of the worst actors I've seen in a minute when he's, like, hiking through the place. He's like, oh my gosh, the freaking universe just saved me. The freaking universe is so good. This is why I always freaking parachute. I wonder if he's actually going to say anything about this at any point. I would imagine probably not, but he's kept the video up, so I wonder what's going to come from it. Again, it's a serious crime, like a very serious crime. Low-key terrorist attack. I mean, it is, yeah, not super wrong. He just bails out of a plane and lets it crash. It could have crashed anywhere. He had no control over where that thing was going to crash, nor who was in the area nearby. And as we just saw in the last video, there's like a whole town that's not far from these mountains. And by not far, I mean they're literally right next to these mountains. Now, I didn't mention this on stream, but it's something I thought of right after ending stream. If this video didn't have the plane crash, then what was the purpose of the video? It's basically just a video of a guy flying his plane and then landing it. I guess the draw of the video could have been spreading his friend's ashes, but that's a very personal thing and not exactly like a viral piece of content. And Trevor's channel is full of nothing but extreme moments. Like all of his piloting ones have like scary stories or taking people up that are very afraid, and it's all very like exciting stuff. Whereas if this video didn't have the plane crash, it's literally just him flying and then landing. And this has a sponsor on it. Sponsors typically want to be on a piece of content they're confident would perform well. A video where Trevor just flies and lands isn't exactly going to be something that really fucking pops off in the algorithm or anything like that. But a plane crash, well, that has the potential to really get wacky, and especially for a sponsorship, it'd be something they'd be confident in doing well. And I'm sure Trevor would have come up with a plan to make the content more exciting, considering all of his other content is, like, over the top. Whereas this one would have just been flying and landing. So it just seems really out of character, and there could be merit to that argument where, because it was a sponsorship, Trevor felt like he needed to do something bigger, so he came up with this plan of crashing the plane. Again, all of this could be completely genuine. Maybe all of this is real, the plane really malfunctioned, there was no saving it, so he bailed out. But with everything pointed out by the actual pilots in the community, as well as everything they were able to uncover, it seems unlikely. It seems more like this was a stunt to generate views and interest in his channel and content, which is pretty fucked up if that is the case. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. That's about it. So yeah. I know I look awfully disheveled right now, which is extremely unprofessional, and that's uncharacteristic of me, so I do apologize for the lack of professionalism. I look like a time-traveling caveman who just got out of the machine and is curious on what year it is. But there's a good reason for it, I'll briefly explain. I play pickup basketball every Thursday night. I'm getting absolutely filthy. I wouldn't be surprised if I got recruited into the NBA over the next couple years, but that's besides the point. After the pickup basketball game this evening, I hopped on Twitter for the first time today and noticed something huge. Susan has stepped down as CEO of YouTube. This news kind of came out of nowhere. I haven't been this surprised since I was a child and learned that chocolate milk didn't come from brown cows. Susan has been the CEO of YouTube for the last 9 years, but she's been at Google for 25. And now she's hanging up her dancing shoes and stepping away from the company. However, she is still taking on an advisory role to Google and Alphabet, as I understand it. She did post a statement going into detail, just kind of like a swan song on the way out, going over the years and the progress that the platform has made. Really, the whole post feels almost like a YouTube rewind. You know, at least the closest thing we've had over the last couple of years since they canned that whole thing. It's just a look at YouTube and what's happened since she's taken the helm. And her future plans aren't revealed at the moment. We don't know. It could be anything. You know, maybe she fucking announces an NFT project. You know, anything's possible. But there is one thing we do know. YouTube is going to have a new CEO. And most people are pretty pessimistic about it for good reason. Now, I know a lot of people have criticized Susan, and rightfully so. There's plenty of things that you can point out as being suboptimal, and a lot of things that didn't ever get fixed that needed fixing, and changes that should have come but still haven't come. There's plenty of things that you can critique. But I have always maintained that at least Susan knew what was going on the platform. She'd talk to creators, even though it pretty much fell on deaf ears. Anytime a creator gave her advice, YouTube would kind of wipe their ass with it, it felt like. She at least talked to them. She'd sit down and talk to some creators. She would post about YouTube frequently on Twitter. She seemed proud of the platform and would actively talk about YouTube, which is more than you could say about a lot of tech CEOs in the business. And the example I always use is Twitch, with our beloved Emmett Shear. I'm convinced this guy doesn't even know he's the CEO of Twitch. He seems genuinely embarrassed to even be associated with it. When you go to his Twitter bio, it's the last thing there, and he kind of downplays his involvement by just saying he's working on Twitch. The guy is literally the CEO of the platform, but I don't think you could find a single tweet he's made about Twitch. And he's never really made any appearances on Twitch. He doesn't talk about it or anything at all. I've only ever actually seen him one time to confirm he's a human being, and it was on a stream where he seemed kind of out of it, like he was either drunk or on Xanax, and he just didn't have any clue what he was talking about when he was mentioning the platform. I'd place a wager that Emmett couldn't name a single streamer on Twitch right now. So at least Susan seemed to know what was going on the platform and actively engaged with it, even though she didn't really fix a lot of shit, and even though there was a lot of mismanagement, like at the very highest level, at the very least, she talked about the platform. She did identify problems, though falling short on fixing a lot of them, and they did roll out good features under her belt while also rolling out some stinkers. So it wasn't like the perfect reign, but it wasn't the worst either. There's always been plenty of room for the platform to get shittier, and hopefully that won't be the case with the new CEO. I'd like to believe that it'll only improve, but time will tell. I'm going to try and remain optimistic on the future of the platform, though I do want to mention something in regards to the timing of Susan stepping down. I don't know how many of you know about this currently, but there is an extremely important legal battle going on right now called Gonzalez versus Google. And the outcome of this litigation could completely change not only the entire landscape of YouTube, but the internet as a whole. Legal Eagle actually just posted a video going over this case in detail, and I can't recommend the video enough so you get a sense for exactly what's going on and the severity of it. I'm going to break it down into its most basic form. YouTube had a problem where it was recommending ISIS videos, extremist content, to users. And what ended up happening is it radicalized some users and it led to a legitimate terror attack. And this put this whole problem on display and has led to this lawsuit, which is now getting into very, very dangerous territory with something called Section 230. That's as far as I'm going to go in the breakdown, but Section 230 is instrumental in the internet landscape. Without it, the internet doesn't function as it currently does. It gets a lot worse in many, many, many different ways. Check out Legal Eagle's video on the case. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this has YouTube in its crosshairs. Google entirely, but the problem stemmed from YouTube. And now Susan steps down during this extremely crucial period. That's setting off alarm bells for me. Now, I know Susan's not going to court with, like, you know, a sword and a shield ready to do battle for YouTube. She's not a fucking lawyer, right? I know she's not the one actually tackling them in the court of justice for the fucking WWE SmackDown Gonzalez versus Google. But she is the public-facing company. She is very high up in the company, obviously. She is a senior leadership position. So during a moment like this kind of huge deal, I would expect her to want to be there to fight for it, to be there and lend her 25 years of experience and expertise in the field to help navigate these waters and to try and make things smooth and get the best outcome here. So her stepping down during this is a little weird to me, and maybe it's because I'm a little naive on the exact structure of YouTube as well as how Google compartmentalizes it. Like, maybe she really would be completely worthless in this case and would offer no valuable insight, but I just find that hard to believe since the problem stemmed from her neck of the woods, YouTube, which she's the CEO of. I feel like she would have the deepest insight and understanding in order to help with the case, but maybe that's not how it works. I just still find the timing to be a little concerning given the severity of the Gonzalez versus Google case. But anyway, back to talking about the future of the platform. We are going to see a new CEO enter into the Thunderdome here, and I'm very curious to see exactly how they're going to perform. I'm hoping it'll be great, but it remains to be seen. They've got a lot of work to do. Are we going to see really sweeping improvements? Like, are things going to be getting fixed? Is the new CEO going to be focusing on fixing broken things like the manual review, the algorithm for flagging content, shit like that? Or are they going to be focusing on improving features that are still kind of busted? Maybe are they going to focus on implementing new features that are good, that I don't even have any conception of, like any possible fucking idea on? I will say the beauty of someone new stepping in as a CEO right now is there is an easy layup they can make that would instantly earn the trust of the entire community. Just an absolute fucking free breadbasket. Bringing back dislikes. It's that simple. You can still see dislikes through an extension, so just turn them back on publicly. That would instantly be an incredible change that would set the entire tone of the new CEO's reign as, the top dog here. It would showcase to the community that the CEO can recognize issues, can see community feedback, and actually take it into account when going forward. Bringing back dislikes is the number one thing this new CEO can do instantly to get off on the right foot and have a very strong start. Are they just going to be good changes, or are we going to see them double down on some horrible ideas, like when they floated the idea of doing fucking NFTs on YouTube? Or how about that timeless classic when they required you to have a Google Plus account in order to comment on the platform, which was an absolute burning bag of dog shit of an idea? Like, are we going to see more ideas like that are just overwhelmingly horrible and terrible? But yeah, anyway, we'll just have to wait and see how the new CEO performs. Hopefully it's great, big wet sloppy kisses all around, the platform improves entirely, that'd be ideal. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about it. That's about it. So yeah. When you think of the most important inventions in the world, you probably think of the standard stuff like the wheel, trains, electricity, airplanes, antibiotics, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is we recently just lived through one of the most important inventions in all of human history. I'd argue, in fact, the most important, and that is the creation of Roblox. It is one of the most popular and most profitable things on the planet right now. If you went outside with a shovel and you dug down and happened to have found an unlimited supply of gold, diamonds, and oil, you would still probably not be able to beat the profit that Roblox is making. It is crazy what that's generating. Now, a month ago, I was talking about an ongoing story, a wild and wacky adventure, where Roblox is currently suing a YouTuber for $1.6 million, or 130 million Robux. I'll quickly bring you all up to speed. I'll sit you by the campfire and tell you this scary story. Basically, there's a controversial Roblox YouTuber who's covered a lot of corruption in the Roblox community, as well as just general trolling on Roblox. His name is Penguinz0, and in the lawsuit they allege some horrible things about this guy. Now, full disclosure, as I said in the initial video, I don't know shit about Penguinz0 or any of the stuff that's mentioned in the lawsuit, whether or not any of it's accurate. I was just going by what was listed there and talking about it. It's some terrible shit. And they're taking his greasy ass to court for $1.6 million at least. There's a lot of room there, a lot of wiggle room for even more money, such as covering attorney fees, as well as other miscellaneous things they could ask for if they decide to. But it's like a $1.6 million bare minimum that'd be coming right out of his fucking butthole. So they allege some absolutely horrifying stuff like terrorism. They accuse him of terrorism by saying he had gone on Twitter and threatened that the Roblox meeting was going to get shot up, or encouraged his viewers to go shoot up or threaten the Roblox meeting. They also said that he tried uploading sexually explicit games onto Roblox, which is a platform mainly used by kids. So just a lot of really fucked up things. They damn near accused him of like flooding their toilets in their headquarters. They made this guy sound like the actual Roblox boogeyman who was at all times sabotaging Roblox from the inside. Like he was omniscient. He was everywhere. Every problem Roblox ever had was tied to Penguinz0. Like, it was a fucking laundry list of horrible accusations. And now, yesterday, Penguinz0 has come out from the shadows to defend himself. He's making a 3-part series breaking down the lawsuit and defending himself and proving why those accusations are bullshit, wrong, or just completely misleading. And part 1's the only one posted so far, but I actually thought he did a really good job of illustrating both a major problem with Roblox right now, as well as things that didn't make sense on the points that he talked about in the video from the lawsuit. So the first point he tackles is right here, where they accuse him of tweeting a photoshopped picture of a former Roblox employee who was openly gay, depicting him nude, and then repeatedly harassing him on Twitter. Now, according to Ruben, this is just an outright lie. So the employee in question is an employee for Roblox who was a social media head, like an actual e-celebrity of the Roblox staff, who openly ran a porn blog while being employed by Roblox in this position. So they just had a porn blog dedicated to furry porn, giant porn, Rule 34, and the naked pictures they're talking about in the lawsuit are nude photos he himself posted of himself on his blog, which Ruben then posted on Twitter in order to critique and ridicule him for having a Roblox position, a very open social position with Roblox, while also openly having a porn blog that anyone of any age could access.
Back in 2015, Roblox hired a social media manager while he was running a porn blog, which was completely public, and even nudes of himself taken outside in the middle of the desert in Death Valley, California. This social media manager wasn't just some anonymous Roblox employee. He was an e-celeb, making regular appearances on their company's livestream, The Next Level. I didn't Photoshop anything. I didn't have to. Yet they claimed that I depicted him nude. I didn't depict him nude. He is nude. He even tagged it under nude and naked.
I don't know this employee in question, but from the censored photos here, it looks like fucking Tobey Maguire. I half expected this to be like fucking Peter Parker from the original Spider-Man movies. But I am in agreement with Ruben's point, where it's a very big and disturbing problem to have the social media head of a kids game also be the head of a porn blog. I think that's pretty gross and very weird. So now the next major point he focuses on is a massive problem that I also recently learned about. I even posted another video about this one, where in the Roblox developer community there are legitimate child predators and people that groom children as well as people that exploit children for free labor. It's a massive fucking issue with Roblox that Roblox refuses to do anything about. So, Penguinz0 mentions in his video that he is the first person to be sued by Roblox for off-platform behavior. Since the inception of Roblox, the primordial oof, they have made their stance clear. They don't give a fuck what happens off the Roblox platform. They won't do anything about it. They won't even ban people. They just wash their hands of it and say, oh, some kids got abused over there, or, oh, some kids are getting groomed, or kids are getting, sexually preyed upon. Is it on Discord, not Roblox? Discord? Oh, that's fine. Hey, we don't care. We're just going to close our eyes to it. Doesn't bother us. Doesn't hurt our bottom line. They have made it clear they don't do anything about off-platform behavior, yet for Ruben, they're throwing the book at him for a $1.6 million lawsuit. So why target what is essentially a Roblox troll? And that's not even the right word. I don't know Ruben's content, but it seems more like the pieces he makes are content based around problems in the Roblox community and less about trolling. But again, I don't really know his content. But even still, why target someone that's calling out problems as opposed to targeting the problems themselves, like the openly admitting pedophiles in the Roblox developer community?
sued for off-platform behavior when I've made videos on this very channel criticizing Roblox for doing next to nothing when child predators groom their users over Discord. One of their own professional developers was featured in a People Make Games video, sexting a 12-year-old girl while he was 24.
The person you're about to hear speak is Sarah.
That video is a video that we've covered on the channel as well. It's an extremely disturbing story and just a horrible, horrible situation that Roblox refuses to do anything about because it happened off of the official Roblox platform. So that developers' games existed on the platform all the way up until Sega took them down because it infringed on their copyright. So Ruben even mentions this in his video. Sega was the one to finally step in and take down the pedophiles' games, which were giving him access to kids in the first place, before Roblox did anything. Roblox just let it ride because they were very popular games. They didn't bother to do anything about it. They don't care about protecting the kids because it was happening off their platform. So the developer never got in any trouble. They weren't punished. They were still making money all the way up until Sega was like, hey, that's our copyright. Man, fuck this guy, and then just slapped them across the face. So it's baffling that the battle they choose to fight is against a YouTuber who calls out this behavior as opposed to the people that are open about what they're doing. The person, and I'm not going to play too much of Ruben's video here, but he shows more clips from this person in particular where they openly say like, yeah, I'd probably go to jail for some of the things I've been doing on here and shit like that, openly stating that they don't care about the age and knowingly are breaking the law. And all of this information being reported to Roblox, nothing gets done. In that People Makes Games video, the pedophile that they focused on for that section literally just openly admits it. He made like a fucking YouTube video where he's like, yep, just confirming everything is true, and I'm not that sorry about it because it's not a big deal. And all of that gets reported to Roblox, and he's like, oh, hey, that's YouTube. Hey, do you see Roblox on that? That's YouTube, baby. We don't touch it. We don't care. It's not on our platform. Even though the dude has very popular games on your platform that he uses to get access to the kids. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I understand you can't have, like, your porn-addicted Roblox staff members in every single Discord group on the planet to monitor it to make sure there's no, like, child grooming going on. But when it gets reported to you, and it's very clear a lot of evidence has gone into this, and it is using your platform to have access to these victims, you should probably step in and at least investigate and perhaps do something. Even though all of it was happening off platform, your platform is being used to give those bad actors access to victims. Like, it blows my fucking mind how they can just be so complacent to be like, yep, hey, off platform, we don't care, baby, suck our nuts. So I think it was a very good point Ruben was making by saying that it's very weird that all of a sudden now Roblox cares about off-platform behavior when in the past they haven't cared at all and turned a blind eye to actual child abuse and legitimate, horrifying criminal activities going on their platform. But now they've gone after Ruben. This is only part 1 of 3 parts. I don't know if any of the other accusations are true. I guess we'll have to wait for parts 2 and 3 to see Ruben's side of it. But just from this first part, it highlights a very clear issue with Roblox. And I think he did a great job of breaking down at least one of the claims and improving his side and how it's misleading in the way it's presented with the whole nude photo of a staff member thing. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because this story is really getting pretty crazy. This is like some actual wild and goofy shit going on here, and I'm super curious to see how it progresses. I think even if Ruben Sim is able to definitively, without question, prove every single piece of this lawsuit is bullshit, he is still going to lose so much money trying to fight it in court, and it's going to be a long and tedious process, and that's just got to be the fucking worst. That's got to suck so much ass. Even, like, knowing that you are innocent, but then because this company has so much money to just throw at lawsuits, they can just keep you busy and bleeding money in the meantime. It's fucking crazy. So we'll have to see the rest of this to see truly if the other claims are bullshit. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya. YouTube Rewind is dead, and not even a wish on the Dragon Balls could bring it back. Why do I say that? Well, it's because you can't convince a community of people that are constantly shit on by the platform that they view shit on or post shit on that platform is on their side, which is what YouTube used to be about. YouTube Rewind was a celebration of the creators and videos that made it popular for that year, or what was big at the time. Nowadays, it's just been this corporate puppeteering work, a sick marionette that some faceless, soulless suits at the top forced to dance, and it never goes over well because the ship has already sailed. People know that YouTube is not out to make itself a better platform for viewers or creators, they're out to make it better and safer for brands. It takes one click to figure that out. When you go to YouTube's homepage when you're not signed in, all you get as a recommended or available to watch right away is Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon slapping his fucking desk and pissing his pants, shitting his diapers, Ellen DeGeneres throwing her old ass in a circle while having all of these big celebrity guests on. That's the kind of content YouTube cares about. So when they attempt to do these YouTube rewinds, a celebration of creators, it comes across so disingenuous, anyone can see through it. It's like when you're talking to your creepy uncle who tries to diddle you and he's talking about how he's only looking out for you. It's like, no, you're not. You're lying to me. That's how you feel about YouTube as the creepy diddling uncle. It is putting on a face that they don't actually wear. You know, hey, we're on the creator side. Look, we're bringing them into this rewind to celebrate them. Even though YouTube has no fucking idea who they are. Nor do they care about them, they're their contributions to the platform. You need look no further than PewDiePie, the biggest creator on the platform for many years now. They fucking exiled him from the YouTube rewinds, even when they were still pretending to care about creators because they viewed him as problematic and wouldn't be a good brand image for them, so he was never there. Interestingly enough, he's in this year's YouTube rewind because they had no choice but to put him there because his wedding video was so popular. Since they're doing a top 10 list, he had to make that list, and I guarantee that was a fucking struggle for him. YouTube got sued for $170 million this year by the FTC, and I bet putting PewDiePie in their rewind was still more difficult than that. So let's take a moment of silence and appreciate that brave editor at YouTube HQ that put him in the rewind. Hats off to you, you courageous soul over there. I know it was tough, but you've done it. PewDiePie's in the rewind, but the point I'm making is, as a celebration for creators, it's become just a corporate limbo dance. And now, with the 2019 rewind following last year's, which was the worst of all time, they just decided, fuck it, we're going to put no effort into it and we're just going to do a top 10 list. So this year's rewind looks like it was commissioned from Watch Mojo. It's a video that they probably made for less than $500, made by an intern at YouTube HQ who just spent an afternoon Wikipediaing shit and posting clips. It is a very lazy, uninspired video, but I can't even call it bad, it's just fucking boring. It is just a top 10 list of things that happened on the platform in 2019. This was an opportunity for them to turn it around, to make it something different because it's the end of the decade and YouTube has fucking dominated the decade as a fucking monopoly. They could have done easy shit, you know. Here's what made YouTube popular. Here's how we got to where we are today, fucking creators in the ass. You know, showing the evolution of dance, bringing the evolution of Dance Guy onto the screen. There's so many things they could have done for this that they decided not to because they don't know their own fucking platform. They don't care about it. They don't care about viewers. It doesn't matter. I get that. And I also get why they didn't put any effort into it, because why should they when no one's gonna like it anyway? What I don't like, though, is how they were hyping this shit up like, yeah, this one's for you. Because on YouTube's Twitter, they had all these memes and shit like, yeah, this year we're coming in raw and no rubber. Hope you guys are lubed up because we got something special for that special little ass of yours, because we're coming in. This is gonna be a real YouTube rewind that you're all gonna like, I promise. And then it comes out and it's a fucking top 10 list. It's so disconnected, so boring. I swear to God, the AI that YouTube uses to identify videos understands people better than the actual humans at YouTube does. All those cyborgs there know are numbers. They don't even recognize people on the platform as people anymore, just numbers on a fucking page. Even the AI bots can recognize people and emotion, but YouTube can't. It's fucking silly, man. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but their whole little intro comes across super passive-aggressive. In 2018, we made something you didn't like. Well, let's see what you did like, since you're better at this than we are. It reads like something my mom would have sent me in a text message in high school when she was mad at me about something. I was half expecting the next clip to just be Susan spreading her ass cheeks and doing a full goatsy to the camera as a big fuck you to all viewers and creators on YouTube, as she's bowing to a statue of Jimmy Kimmel made out of bubblegum like Helga from Hey Arnold. Does this video deserve to be the most disliked on YouTube? No, not at all. I mean, it's just a boring, lazy, uninspired video. It's like a Spotify wrapped animation for a fucking YouTube rewind. Reminds me of those Facebook pre-made, here's how your year went things just to make you feel bad. It's just not an enjoyable video. It's not a bad one. It is literally a fucking top 10 list. It is the laziest possible thing YouTube could have ever done. And I can't really blame them. What's the point in paying all the creators and all of these celebrities to be in a YouTube rewind when it's going to be shittily received anyway, because people already know you don't care about them? So what's the point in spending that kind of money and that kind of time? Why not just throw this together in Sony Vegas 7 in 45 minutes. No reason not to. I mean, I totally get why they would. There's no point in making a YouTube rewind anymore because they don't understand YouTube. They can't make something that everyone's going to react positively to. So, I mean, I get it. It is a little disappointing, but it's better than last year at the very least. At least they didn't try and pretend like they care. This time they're just like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Here's just some top 10 stats. You guys like stats, right? You can do fucking fantasy football for YouTubers with this shit. So, I can't say it's the worst video. I can't say it's worse than last year's YouTube Rewind. All I can say is I don't think they should do any more YouTube Rewinds. They need to just put that shit 6 feet under. Just lock it in the coffin and call it quits. This shit is just, it's dead. You're never going to make a good YouTube Rewind unless you totally change your platform and actually start caring about some of the individuals on it, or at least pretend like you do in a better way. It's just, there's no way they could ever turn this whole idea around. YouTube Rewind started as a super positive thing, overwhelmingly loved by the community for years, but now it's just some sad shit, borderline propaganda. It's like the fucking we are Walmart thing, that old viral video trying to get Walmart people excited about Walmart. It's fucking garbage corporate shit now. There's no point in doing it. Just stop YouTube Rewind. It's never gonna be good again. That's about it. So yeah. There are a handful of YouTubers that are currently being sued for $1 billion in a class action lawsuit right now due to them promoting FTX. I don't need to read you the bedtime story of the FTX collapse and disaster. In a very quick and dirty nutshell, it was a very, very large cryptocurrency exchange. You may have even seen the commercial with Larry David where it was, "Don't be like Larry. Crypto's coming and you don't want to miss it, so hop on board, choo-choo, this shit's going right to the moon." That kind of thing. It was this big hype train that seemed to have no end until it ended. The whole thing went tits up, completely collapsed, and was worth less than the gum stuck under your school desk. It was revealed to be fundamentally just a giant scam, and the person behind it, Sam Bankman-Fried, this weaselly goblin homunculus, was basically just a big fraudster, the puppet master behind this whole thing. And so the train derailed, and instead of spilling vinyl chloride, it spilt dust, because there was no money in there at all. So many people lost so much. It was a complete catastrophe, and since the days of its crumbling, a lot has happened. Not just with the people on the inside like Sam Bankman-Fried, but even the people who were loosely connected to it, like brand ambassadors, for example. They've already put Tom Brady, for instance, in the crosshairs. Tom Brady was a big FTX shill, as were quite a few other celebrities, but one of them I'd like to make special note of is Shaq. According to numerous sources, Shaq is currently trying to be issued a lawsuit for his involvement with FTX, but is hiding from them in his own home. So it's just almost kind of comical to think about Shaq hiding from the FTX lawsuit, like real Looney Tunes style, like he's, crouching behind his bar in his home or something while the guy's trying to deliver paperwork to him, but he can't find him, like a mission out of fucking Splinter Cell or something. It's a wild situation. A ton of A-list celebrities are being sued because of all of this, and now it extends to more than just the A-list Hollywood celebrities and sports stars. It's extending to the YouTubers as well, which brings us to today's topic. There is a handful of YouTubers who are getting slapped with a $1 billion lawsuit for their involvement in the promotion of FTX. 1 billion clams. 1 billion sweet, precious doubloons are at stake now for these YouTubers. And CoffeeZilla just posted a video going over all of it in great detail, so I'll put a link to that in the description. I just want to kind of give you the nitty-gritty of it and kind of get into what's going on and really what it means. Now, you might have had a little twinkle in your eye when you noticed a few of those names were familiar to you, and that's totally natural because these are huge channels on YouTube. They have millions of subscribers, and all of them are financial channels. Their content is always centered around big schmeckles. The topics are money, making money, advice, following trends, crypto, the whole kit and caboodle. And speaking of recognizing names on the list, I don't know if you caught it, but we actually have a cameo from a supervillain we may have seen in the past. BitBoy Crypto, Ben. Ben is named in this lawsuit. BitBoy Crypto is someone I've made 2 videos on now. The first was when he sued a YouTuber who was making jokes about him, and the second time was when he called a completely random woman a child molester because the woman was calling him out on promoting dog shit crypto. So, I'm not the biggest fan of BitBoy Crypto. So seeing his name in there kind of gave me little butterflies in my tummy. I had a little smile like, oh wow, how the tables have turned, because usually BitBoy Crypto is the one administering these lawsuits, which is a joke CoffeeZilla also made in his video, because it's just an easy dunk. BitBoy Crypto is very loosey-goosey with frivolous lawsuits, and now he's being named in a big lawsuit. It's poetic to a certain extent. But I'm going to have to go to bat for him, because BitBoy Crypto, as pointed out by CoffeeZilla, was actually one of the very few financial channels who started calling out FTX before they even collapsed. I know, I couldn't believe it when I heard that either. I didn't think I was even in reality anymore. I thought I got trapped in a Naruto Genjutsu. The odds of BitBoy Crypto offering good advice are incalculably low. It's almost impossible. It's like almost as impossible as fucking Netflix's Big Mouth telling a good joke. BitBoy Crypto's entire career is built upon offering the worst crypto investment advice into these absolute dogshit moonshot coins that almost always lose his audience money. And yet, in this specific case, he fucking nailed it. He got it right. According to CoffeeZilla and his research, Ben had actually made a handful of videos letting people know that they need to get out of FTX immediately. That it's toxic, it's bad, and shit's not looking good, it's evil, this and that. And he was absolutely right. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day, as they say. And Ben absolutely hit the nail on the head. He pinned the tail right on that donkey. He was telling people like a month before the collapse even happened that they need to pull out now. And still he gets named in the lawsuit here. As you can imagine, a lawsuit like this is a reputational stain for all of these YouTubers because people look to them for financial advice. And now their credibility has been fucking slammed. It's been slapped by this. Because they were shilling a fucking scam, basically, that lost a ton of people money. The big issue is they weren't just talking about FTX positively because they wanted to talk about FTX organically. A lot of them were being sponsored to talk about FTX and promote it. In fact, some of them even had a podcast that was sponsored by FTX. It's now been deleted, of course. They buried that as far into the soil as they could. But they were being paid to shill FTX, which of course gave FTX access to even more victims. It brought more people to the slaughterhouse here and completely butchered their finances when FTX inevitably crashed. So now let's start eating the meat to get to the bone. It's targeting financial YouTubers. I think you can probably imagine why. Financial YouTubers are looked at as experts in this kind of subject matter. Promoting FTX gives the perception to the audience that they've done their due diligence. They're working on the assumption that this financial YouTuber is a trusted source when it comes to this kind of information, so this product, which fits right in that wheelhouse, must be something legit and safe. Because this financial YouTuber is talking about it and feels comfortable enough promoting it, it's probably legit. They're viewed as experts, thus, when they're doing an FTX sponsorship, it makes it seem even more legit than if it was just some completely random goofball that has no knowledge whatsoever on anything like crypto. So that, to me, makes a lot of sense, but in CoffeeZilla's video, he talks to a real lawyer, Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle is an amazing channel on YouTube that I can't recommend enough, and Legal Eagle weighs in and says that he actually views this as kind of a meritless lawsuit. I'll do my best to break it down very quickly, but keep in mind I'm also a fucking idiot. So the first thing that the lawsuit needs to be successful is it needs to connect the endorser to FTX itself. But the people that were endorsing it, I mean, they're not employees of FTX, they're not agents, they're not directors or anything like that. And oh my god, I got something in my eye. Fucking Sam Bankman-Fried shot a dust particle right in my eye. And then the second main component is they need to have the endorsers be liable, kind of like privy to what was happening at the behind the scenes of FTX, which Legal Eagle argues is kind of factually odd because even if they're endorsing FTX, it doesn't mean they understand what's going on the inside of the company. They're not necessarily going to be given information that isn't available to the public. They're not going to automatically know more than what's publicly accessible to everybody else. So he fundamentally says that it's not the strongest case and he doesn't think it's going to go anywhere, but it's going to be expensive for the YouTubers named in the suit to fight it. But regardless of whether or not the lawsuit itself is successful, the community of these channels is not super happy about this whole situation because a lot of them fell hook, line, and sinker into FTX because of their recommendations. In CoffeeZilla's video, he interviews one of the people here, and CoffeeZilla doesn't pull punches. I always very much appreciate that about his interviews. So here he does absolutely lay it down to get to the bottom of very important questions such as, are you going to give back the money you made from the sponsorships? And all of those things. And all of it's answered in CoffeeZilla's video. But one thing that's interesting about the person being interviewed here is that he puts the onus on the viewers that fell for it, not so much him. In fact, he makes it very clear that he doesn't feel responsible. He just feels bad that some of the people that lost all of their money for being irresponsible in their own personal way. He doesn't feel responsible for it, which I found very interesting. I agree with CoffeeZilla that the viewers look at channels like his and other financial YouTubers as experts in this field. So when they're recommending something like FTX, they assume due diligence has been done and that this is a trustworthy organization that they can put money into. And in the case of FTX, that couldn't have been further from the truth. Thus, their credibility now is completely in the shitter. And a lot of people lost a lot of money from this trusting these YouTubers, which is a big problem. And that's a point CoffeeZilla likes to make at the end of the video that I think is a very strong point. So overall, these YouTubers are being sued for $1 billion. It doesn't, from the sound of it, from the expert like Legal, it doesn't sound like they're actually going to lose a collective $1 billion from all of this unless some kind of crazy shit comes out. But regardless, it highlights a huge issue where they would promote this product without ever really bothering to look that deep into it, which isn't a problem that's exclusive to just these financial YouTubers. That extends to the broader platform of YouTube as a whole. And in fact, it's happened to me before as well. On the official podcast, we actually had a sponsorship slot for Robinhood. And even though Robinhood isn't like an outright scam or anything, at least not that I know of, they have done some unforgivably shady shit. And I still feel awful about that whole situation because they had like 5 slots on the podcast and I thought it was a good service, but I was kind of naive to think that. I am no Robinhood fan anymore after the multitude of scummy moves they've made. So it is something that has happened in other verticals of the platform, but in this case it is targeted directly at the financial YouTubers in the lawsuit, and it's a very interesting situation here that I'm going to keep my eye on to see how it all plays out. But anyway, just wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. You should check out Acerthorn. I discovered him a year ago on YouTube. He's currently suing me for $1.2 million for copyright infringement. There's vids about it. He also sued his university, parents, state of Arkansas, Google, Microsoft, etc. You're one of the people named in the Acerthorn case? So as I understand it, and if you really are someone named in this suit, maybe you can shed a little more light on it in the chat. He is suing these YouTubers because for Acerthorn's content, he only does paid content, paid streams, where you have to pay him, I think it's $20 to listen to him ramble. And some YouTubers used clips from one of those paid streams in order to talk about the points he was making. So he's saying that they owe him $20 per view on the videos they made about it. I only know a little bit about his history, but apparently he's just one of those serial suers that just sues everyone and everything for every trivial possible reason he can think of. In fact, he would probably even throw a lawsuit at me for defamation for even talking about it, I imagine. Which would be quite the power move. Originally this started after a collab stream between me and Acerthorn in which he timed out a lot of chat users for mentioning his past in the court. I didn't agree and asked what it was about. I was yelled at and he left in rage and later sued me. Somehow he attracted the attention of more content creators like Kretosis, Sid Alpha, and he added them to the lawsuit as well. Can't you just say no if someone sues you? I see we have a lawyer in here. You can't sue me if I don't agree to it. You don't have my consent. Honestly, this reads like a promotion. I'm a YouTuber and Twitch streamer. You can find my links here. Here's my YouTube and my Twitch.
I know he did this because he proceeded to make a video that included this clip. See infringement 23.
Can you say this in a lawsuit? He acquired possession of that clip because duh? What self-respecting lawyer would write that? This is like a teenager's blog. Does he write these himself?
That means he necessarily acquired it through unauthorized means.
Oh,
So
you
there are
wouldn't
couple of
download a
things here.
car.
The first
He's
is
a
the
pirate.
most obvious, that Acer Thorn is factually...
The lawsuit says he's representing himself. Yikes. Oh my god. So does he just do these frivolous lawsuits as like a creative writing piece? The last time I saw someone represent themselves in court, it was a guy who murdered someone and his defense was, yeah, I murdered her. And what are you gonna do about it? Well, I'm not exaggerating. The guy who murdered, I think it was his girlfriend or something. It was a viral clip on YouTube like a year ago. The guy who murdered his girlfriend was like, I murdered her, but you're all getting how I did it wrong. This is how it happened. And he did it like he was delivering some kind of pregame pep talk. What actually happened is I killed her over there, not over there that you claim. As if that was like what was up for debate. I probably can't show the clip, and it's pretty fucked up because it's an actual murder case. But yeah, that was the last time I saw someone represent themselves. He wasn't denying that he killed her. He was just saying that they're getting the story wrong of how he killed her. Was he found innocent? I don't think so, man. But imagine the world were like, oh my god, he's right. It looks like she really was killed in the other room. Like it's a game of Clue. Oh, it wasn't Colonel Mustard in the library. Now we gotta let him go. Watch the clip. I'm not fucking touching an Acer Thorn clip. This shit's like handling raw sewage. No chance. I'm not touching him. So it's a 2-minute clip. It's really it's not a 2-minute clip. It's really short.
Some sort of evidence to prove to me that he has been harmed in any appreciable way, as I seriously doubt very many of my own viewers would be willing to lobotomize themselves to the point where they would be willing to provide such an inept content creator as Acer Thorn with any money whatsoever. There is, however, a third decision.
Get ready for the next lawsuit, Sid Alpha, for that little smackdown there. So, Sophian says that the clip is him accidentally going live and spazzing out. So is the reason he got all upset because he looked silly? Is that what it's about? Yeah, that's the reason. Oh. Thanks to give Sub Big Mary. So how does that even happen? Like he accidentally started streaming and then what, just making noises? Like what was he spazzing out about? I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna even take the chance. Like, I can't think of a single time I've ended stream and just started going like fucking wacky inflatable tube man with my arms and making crazy noises or anything. Imagine Crazy Frog, but stupider. He was just doing goofy stuff. You tell me the guy accidentally started his stream and just started hitting the bring ding 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 or something? Is that really what happened? Man, he should be thanking people for covering that. That makes him look human. He accidentally emoted.
Acer Thorn has ever questioned why. And while I know he's watching, I'll let him go and spend a few furious hours looking up a few dozen legal precedents that only tangentially relate to what he alleges. Why? And because I'm a cruel bastard like that.
Bro, you're using big words. Acer Thorn in his own lawsuit put in parentheses because duh. Oh, voice crack, wow. Like, you're throwing words around that he's gonna have to Google and you're gonna insult him with it.
Also, within the Sophian P lawsuit, we already know that Acer Thorn claims he did not make those noises, which we all know to be a blatant lie, and it will be fun to watch him twist in the wind over that one as well. Myself in a lose-lose situation, whereby in order to have a copyright to even enforce, I must admit to having made the noises myself, which in turn means I must publicly admit to being deranged. Not quite, but...
What are you talking about? Everyone makes goofy noises from time to time when they're alone. Shit, I make them on stream sometimes, too. What do you mean? You have to admit to being deranged? What is wrong with you? What? Oh my god, now I have to publicly come out and say that I'm a lunatic. Because I made silly noises. People are gonna look at me like I'm a fool. Thus, I'll sue this man. That way no one thinks I'm a fool. Jesus. In order to avoid looking like a clown, he became the whole circus.
All right. It is actually the other way around. Because I have the registration for the copyright, that means I hold the presumption of copyright validity. To overcome this presumption, the defendants would have to insist that I did not make these noises, and once they do that, they've just admitted to defaming me when they called me deranged. No, that's really not how that works. So instead, it is actually the defendants, not myself, who have placed themselves in a lose-lose situation by embracing this legal theory for invalidating my copyright.
Can you put exclamation points in your lawsuit? This honestly reads like a blog post. Ah, but in fact I was 2 steps ahead of them, like an anime villain. They were wrong. They're in the lose-lose situation. Huzzah! It's a court document twitlonger. Pretty much, this is what it sounds like.
Computers and phones for impounding so that they can have any of his content removed from
What?
them, and to also remove any of his
What?
content from any website. He then requests maximum
Holy
damages of
shit.
$150,000 for the 23 alleged cases of infringement, for a total of $3,450,000.
Oh my god! Holy shit, this guy's going for the moon! Whoo-wee! I don't think it's gonna make it very far for what it's worth. I'm no expert, I didn't pass the bar or anything, but I mean, the way he wrote that lawsuit seems like any self-respecting court is never gonna actually take it seriously. I want to give all of you a follow-up to a situation I covered a little while back in regards to a popular YouTuber and a potential charity fraud situation. This is about the completionist and his charity, Open Hand Foundation. I'll give you a super brief rundown on the lore here to bring you all up to speed in case you don't know what I'm referring to, but the completionist is a huge YouTuber. He owns a charity called Open Hand Foundation. It was formed after the death of his mother, who passed away from dementia. A tragic situation, and this charity was started with the goal of helping to combat dementia. And for the last decade or so, he has run fundraising events with his community in order to collect donations that he has stated will be used in the fight against dementia. However, after an investigation was conducted by Some Ordinary Gamers and Carl Jobst, they found out through all the public filings, since this is a charity organization, their filings are public, they found out that all of the money they've collected over the last 10 years has not moved from the Open Hand Foundation. It's all sitting in an account, even though the completionist has always led his community to believe otherwise, that they are actively donating to a bunch of different places, and even name drops a lot of places, despite never actually sending a penny from the Open Hand Foundation. Now, after all the dust had settled from the initial videos, there were a lot of people like nematodes from SpongeBob coming forward saying the same thing. You're not legal experts, you're not accountants, this doesn't matter. And referring to like Mudahar and Carl Jobst when they reported on this, because no one wanted to accept that it's possible that the completionist engaged in bad behavior. I wanted so badly to believe that all of this could be chalked up to some kind of accounting error or something easily explainable, because as I mentioned, I've had a lot of respect for the completionist in the past. But now, with where the situation currently is, it's extremely hard to see any type of fantasy land where the completionist and the Open Hand Foundation is somehow totally innocent from the claims that have been made against them. So that was the situation, boiled down to the most bare bones of it. It got a little bit deeper since then, and I'd like to cover it here just to give you the full update. So, since that initial set of videos from Carl and Mudahar, the Open Hand Foundation has donated $600,000, which is great. However, most people, myself included, believe that that would have not happened had those videos not been made about them. It was the result of public pressure. It doesn't seem like this just was a big coincidence that they happen to donate it now after all of this outrage. So it's a net positive, though, that they finally have donated the money, but there was a lot more that was uncovered throughout the investigations, and the completionist came forward to deliver an official response on all of this. And I have to say, his response is a bunch of horseradish. I watched it when it first dropped, and there were so many contradictions that he said in that response that it made it extremely difficult to believe anything else that he says going forward. For some reason, what he said was enough to convince his audience of no wrongdoing, and it fries my fucking brain trying to comprehend how anyone could have walked away with that perspective. He admits fault for potentially misleading people on the purpose of the Open Hand Foundation and where the money goes, even though he blatantly misleads them. He explicitly said that it was going places it wasn't. That's not just like, hey, I'm sorry you felt this way, or I'm sorry you got all of these dumb ideas in your head, you bunch of fucking dummies. You picked up these breadcrumbs I didn't mean to drop. Sorry you did that. You blatantly misled them. The Open Hand Foundation is a middleman. They take in money from his community and they donate it to other causes that help in the fight against dementia. So his only goal with this was to take that money and donate it, which he wasn't doing for a decade until, of course, all of this outrage. But in his response, he keeps making it seem like that was always part of the plan. He said that basically they were waiting for a restricted donation where it was a lot of money where it'd make a meaningful impact. And I think that, again, is a bunch of dirty barnacles. You never fucking said that. In fact, in the interview he did with Mudahar and Carl in the first video they made, it directly contradicts what he's saying in his response, where he was saying like, oh, we just didn't know that the money hadn't been donated, and we were waiting for the right benefactor. That whole restricted donation amount narrative, that whole side quest hoopla, that mumbo jumbo never came up until his response. So it seemed like they were really just trying to fish for some kind of excuse. It just doesn't seem genuine at all, and it doesn't make any sense. Because if that was always the goal and what you were waiting to do, you probably would have disclosed that to your audience, right? Like I would think any sensible person would. Now, Carl Jobs just dropped his video covering all of these claims, and I can't recommend it enough. I'm just giving you my perspective from what I saw from his response, but Carl dives into the weeds of it. He gives you all of the receipts, all of the evidence, all of the proof, and I think there's no way you walk away from Carl's video believing that the completionist is totally innocent in all of this and it's just one big misunderstanding or a giant whoops-a-daisy moment. It really does seem like there were some shady things going on in regards to the fundraiser as well as to how the funds were handled. And I see a lot of people saying this is just Carl's side of the story, and it's just not. We have the completionist side of the story. We have that interview that he initially conducted, which for some reason people keep forgetting about and just writing off as just a nothing burger. He was panicked and under pressure, so his statements can't hold any water, which I totally disagree with. Those statements are still important. But we do also have the official response now. So this isn't a case where we only have one side of the story. No, we have all sides of the story. It's just Gerard's side, the completionists, has more holes in it than an orgy on Brazzers. Like, there are so many problems with his statement that don't add up. And the receipts and proof that he brought forward in his response is kind of just unrelated to a lot of the claims that have been made against him. Like, I don't know how that was enough to convince anyone that he's like some kind of angel, like a saint, not guilty or anything. Like, he didn't disprove anything really, except for one claim, which is that the papers, some of the documents, weren't signed, which is something Carl admits fault to in his follow-up as well, that he was wrong to state that the documents weren't signed. Gerard did prove that they were signed. But that's a very, very small component of the claims against him. I want to show you a clip from Carl's video, which contains a clip from the completionist video, that was the biggest alarm for me, that sounded all the sirens in my little noodle up here. It's something Gerard says that directly indicates that he has lied. I'm actually shocked he even has this in his response video because he is openly admitting to being untrustworthy with some of the things he has claimed throughout the fundraisers as well as potentially now.
And Gerard admitted this in his response.
Income from Twitch subscriptions and bits, along with merchandise, have offset some of the production costs. So to say the money is missing is simply wrong.
This was shocking to me. Does Gerard not understand that he is admitting to embezzlement here? To be clear, a charity using donations to cover expenses isn't illegal. It's totally normal and common. But that's not what Gerard did. Gerard lied to the public and said that this money was going to charity and that he wasn't touching any of it.
Bits, subs, YouTube memberships, or YouTube super chats, anything that supports us is going to the foundation at the very end.
As a reminder, all bits and subs, including Amazon Primes, go towards the charity as well. So it's all a pass through, all going for a good cause.
Gift subs, memberships on YouTube, super chats, all that goes to the charity as well. And hey, if you want to get a t-shirt, all of the proceeds from the shirt also go to charity.
Your primes, your gift subs, your bits, donations all go to charity. We don't take any of it.
For years, the completionist has said all of the bits, the memberships, the subs on Twitch, merch sales, bit donations, if you fucking put $1 on a rock and throw it out of your window and hope that it reaches us, all the money raised throughout all these streams is going directly to the charity. We're not touching any of it. He even explicitly says those words. And yet, in his response, he admits that that money, through those means, was being used to offset production costs. That's totally different than what you were telling them the money was going to be used for. As Carl mentions, there's nothing inherently wrong with using some money to offset costs for like a big event. That's pretty commonplace, but usually that money comes from like a sponsor backing, but even if not, it's usually disclosed that a portion of the money donated will be used in that regard. So that way the audience knows. You keep them updated on exactly what the money is going to be used for and how. That's the most important part of being a charity, knowing where the money goes as a donator. And for Open Hand Foundation, for 10 years, the money wasn't going anywhere except into a bank account to collect fucking dust and grime and cobwebs. Like, I bet by the time that this money was donated from Open Hand, the bank was like fucking stunned, like, wait, are you sure? We were under the impression that whoever had that must have like traveled the world and never came back or something. It had been sitting for so fucking long idly. And as a lot of people mentioned, the money isn't worth as much now as it was when it was initially donated because of inflation and everything. It would have been better to just keep donating it every year. Yes, it is still a good thing that the money was donated. Absolutely, that is a win for sure. So there is at least a positive outcome here. But it's still not even where this rabbit hole ends. Carl and Muda also discovered that they do these golf events that raise a lot of money as well. And a lot of money isn't accounted for in like what the bank has in total. There are just so many things that still don't have a real answer from the completionist. It's just such a fucking sad situation. Charitable fraud is so foul. Just exploiting people's kindness, taking people's willingness to help others and wiping your ass with it. It is evil. And whether or not the charity fraud here is on purpose or on accident, and I lean more towards it being on purpose with all of the evidence provided here and everything that keeps coming out. And even if it was charitable fraud on accident, that's not exactly just like a mistake people make. It's not like one of those things that's easily something to move on from. Like, ooh, Jiminy Christmas, hey, sorry guys, looks like I committed charity fraud. Ooh, sorry about that. Yikes, I didn't mean to. Like, it's not something that people be like, oh, okay, hey, no worries, happens to everyone. Like, it is still a fucking big deal, even if this is all somehow the result of just being extremely bad at managing a charity. It's still an awful situation and extremely fucking sad all around. I'm happy the money got donated, some of the money got donated, but there's still so many more things that need to be accounted for here. I highly encourage all of you to watch Carl's video. He dives into all of it, and I think it's an extremely important video to watch, because there are so many more things to this story. So, huge hats off to Carl and Mudahar for their work on this situation. Without them, I don't think that money would have ever actually made it to a real cause. So, great work from them, and I am glad to see they didn't back down in response to the completionist, like, fucking flexing on him, like, okay, then I'll take it to legal court then. Because at the end of the completionist response video, he puffs out his chest and makes some vague threats to legal action against them for it, and I'm glad that they didn't cower away from it, and they just went harder into what they have found through their investigation. I think that is a great thing, and I think it is an overall, like, positive that they're trying to deliver on. So, I'm going to keep my eyes on the situation, of course. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on where this is at. Again, please check out Carl's video if you want to know all of the specifics. This has all been very surface level for me just to bring you up to speed on most of it. But anyway, that's about it. See ya. I'm sure you can tell by my voice, but I'm fucking livid. YouTube took down my Logan Paul video, which is pretty amazing considering there's a couple thousand of these over the last 24 hours. And to my knowledge, mine is the only one that has been taken down. What's even more amazing to me is the reason it was removed. Misleading or insufficient metadata. I'd never had this happen before. I've had many videos wrongfully taken down by YouTube, but never for this reason. So like any sane man, I went and took a shit and then Googled the problem. Turns out YouTube posted something explaining it. They have this fucking robot telling me what it means.
This also helps you know exactly what you are about to watch when you click on a video. When we say metadata, we are talking about all the information associated with a video that isn't the video itself, including information that you, the uploader, provide. This includes the title, the thumbnail, the description, and the tags. Unfortunately, sometimes uploaders abuse our metadata in ways that are intentionally misleading, either to our users or to our search algorithms.
It's like I just watched a fucking ISIS video. It's like they were forcing this woman at gunpoint to give these rules. So apparently either my title, my description, or my tags were misleading, which I find hard to believe since it's not all that different from the titles of very popular ones about this right now. Take a look at these. Not all that different from my title, which was Logan Paul laughing at a dead man. It's not like I fucking clickbaited it. Cosmic Guardian Logan Paul turbo giggling at murdered reptilian humanoid on planet Earth. I didn't fucking go the extra mile and make up some stupid shit. If somebody found my video, Logan Paul laughing at a dead man, and clicked on it, they would see Logan Paul laughing at a dead man. That's not misleading. The only thing I can think of that would even be misconstrued as misleading is my description, which was, "This is the greatest fucking douchebag of all time." That one I can see kind of being misleading. There's a lot of fucking douchebags. It's a bold claim saying Logan Paul's the biggest. But even still, is that really a hill you want to die on, YouTube? I don't think Logan Paul is the biggest fucking douchebag on the planet. I'm taking this down because I was misled. Well, okay, maybe you're right. I should have changed it. This is the fastest balding douchebag on YouTube. Maybe that's what I should have put it to, and then it wouldn't have been misleading. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous, because some of the biggest content creators on this urethral swab of a website clickbait the shit out of all of their videos, misleading thumbnails, misleading descriptions, but it's okay because they're so big on the platform. Before anyone speculates that it's Logan Paul that took it down, I highly doubt it. His holiness is way too big to be watching some plebeian's YouTube videos on him. There's no way he actually saw it and wanted it down. I think it's just YouTube selectively enforcing their fucking vague rules. Obviously, I appealed this, and I'm sure someone at YouTube HQ is gonna wipe their asshole with that, but at least I'm trying to get the video back up. I really have no more to say about how absurd YouTube's been over the last few years, but man, this is a nice barbed wire dildo on top of my birthday cake that I can squat my fucking ass on. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.